The following is a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.
The spotlight today in the final race of the NASCAR season shines squarely on Jimmie Johnson, the Southern California native who tries to put the wraps on something that's only been done once before in Sprint Cup Series history, win 3 consecutive championships. The great Cale Yarborough, one of NASCAR's all-time best, did the triple in 1976, 7, and 8. After winning the title in 2006 and again in 2007, Johnson enters the season finale today with a chance to join Yarborough in the history books. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series trophy will be awarded later this afternoon, a champion celebrated in South Florida.
You know, you run all year, you want to win everything, and if you can't win everything, then maybe you can win the championship.
It's what every driver looks forward to and plans their lives around, basically. I mean, it is everything in our sport.
Being a champion, I mean, it's your ultimate goal and dream. Once you've accomplished it once, there's nothing more than you want than to do it again.
Being a champion is achieving that goal that you've worked all your career thinking about.
When you have the entire season's work on the line, and really your life's work to get you to that point, it doesn't matter what position you're in, that pressure's going to be there, and you've got to go out and achieve your goal that day. Doesn't matter if it's a big gap or a small gap, that pressure is going to show up, especially at Homestead.
Shall we roll, boys?
Today we will crown a champion.
Awesome job. Awesome job.
An entire season's work is on the line today as the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup concludes with the Ford 400 from the mile-and-a-half Homestead Miami Speedway in Homestead, Florida. When the season began 10 months ago in Daytona, every driver in the field dreamed of winning that trophy, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship trophy. There it stands, all shined up and ready to go.
Trackside for the command to get them fired up.
Race fans, are you ready? The time is now. It's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command for today's Ford 400, the great-grandson of Henry Ford and member of the Ford Motor Company Board of Directors, Edsel B. Ford II.
On behalf of Ford Motor Company employees and Ford retailers across our country, gentlemen, start your engines.
Fired up. Fired up. Crank it up. Crank it up.
Have a good day, guys. Be solid in the pits. Let's go out and get the job done, and we're going to do it.
We appreciate it. All the effort all year long. It's been a strange year for all of us, but I really enjoy all of you. Appreciate it.
Engines have fired in 43 of NASCAR's finals for the 36th and final time here in 2008. Are set to get it on here to bring down the curtain on what has been a fabulous season. Take a look at our starting grid. A very surprising front row. 38-year-old David Rudiman becoming the 4th first-time pole winner in 2008. He'll be flanked by rookie driver Scott Speed, and there is Carl Edwards starting in the 4th position. Now, while you watch to see where your favorite driver is starting, let's visit with our in-race reporter, the driver of the AMP Energy National Guard Chevrolet, who's starting back in 22nd, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Junior, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Junior, I know you're getting ready for 400 miles here, but could you take a second and reflect back on this year and let us know, is this pretty much what you expected to happen as you made your move, or are you more pleased with everything than you imagined?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that I'm more pleased with. I'm really happy with the people that I'm working with. Really happy with the structure of all the teams and how the whole company works. I'm really pleased with just being in that environment, and I feel well prepared every weekend due to all the people back at Hendrick and all the work that they do to get these cars the way they are when they show up to the racetrack. So it's a great feeling. That's better than I thought it would be, if that's even possible. But we'd like to run better in the last half of the season and during the chase, obviously. But I can't complain about the type of race cars I show up to the racetrack with, and that's all you can ask for as a race car driver.
Okay, let's turn to today. Did practice give you an indication that you have a car capable of winning this race today?
Well, a couple of people told me we were pretty good. The cars, you know, even when they're driving great, you're running out front, there's still a bit of a struggle to drive, but lap time wise we look pretty good. So I like this racetrack, believe it or not, even though I ain't got a top 10 here, but I really do like running here, and hopefully we can take care of it today and get us some kind of finishes that we've been looking forward to getting here.
Okay, Junior, thanks for talking with us today and all season long. Have a great race. Now Andy's going to talk with your crew chief, Tony Eury Jr.
Hey, Tony Jr., Andy Petrie up here. Have you got us? Hey, Tony, this is a unique racetrack with this variable banking, and now we're going to race kind of into the night. How do you set up for all these changing conditions in the variable banking?
Well, what I think Junior tries to do is, you know, we know it during the night we're going to go back to the bottom of the racetrack, so we really tuned on our car for the first 10, 15 laps to try to run around the bottom, make it as good as possible, but our car really runs good up top, so we'll probably start out running the bottom here, and then we'll ease to the top as the sun comes up, but I think when you win the race, you got to be back down the bottom, so that's what we worked pretty hard on the race.
Okay, Tony Jr., thanks a lot for talking to us, and good luck today.
And I appreciate it.
We'll look forward to riding along with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and talking with Tony Jr. throughout the afternoon. We'll also take you inside the other on-track action with 8 cars carrying onboard cameras, including both of our championship contenders, Jimmie Johnson and Carl Edwards. Back with more from Homestead in a moment. Beautiful sunny skies and swaying palm trees provide the setting as we welcome you back to Homestead Miami Speedway, where we are just moments away from the start of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season finale, the Ford 400. This race will go green today in more ways than one. For the first time in NASCAR history, a hybrid electric vehicle will pace the field. And folks, here it is, the 2010 Ford Fusion Hybrid Pace Car. One driver on the verge of making history. And before we go green, let's listen in one more time to some radio communication.
Guys, you know what this is all about. Let's just go have a good day today. Yeah. Nice and easy on all the pit stops. Like I said, boys, 13.5 average. That's going to get us what we need today. Nice and smooth, no mistakes. Hit our lug nuts, hit our jack post, get it full of fuel. Be no problems whatsoever.
All about leadership from Chad Knaus, and what a great leader he has been here for the last 2 years. They have come here and achieved the same results, a championship in NASCAR. So many great storylines will be following today. The history-making championship battle, the tussle to stay in the top 10, car owners' points, and more. To elaborate, let's go down to the pits first. Here's Dave Burns.
Catching Jimmy, Doc, that's what the chase has been all about ever since they won at Kansas in the third race of the chase and have never looked back. His drive today has to be all about protecting that lead that he has. So, does Carl even have a chance? Well, of course he does. Come on. Carl's won 6 times on tracks very similar to this, intermediate tracks in this series this year. He's got a chance. They have to run the race, and if luck is inside, he might have a shot at the championship. Jamie?
Well, Dave, there's certainly a battle within the battle today in Homestead. You want to finish in the top 10 in points following this race. Why? Because you get invited to New York City in 2 weeks to go up on the stage and get announced in front of everybody in NASCAR. So who are the 2 guys sitting on the outside looking in? Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart, 11th and 12th in the points. Now, Tony Stewart, I just talked to him before he got in the car. He'd want nothing more than to go to New York City with this team one more time. He's pretty good at this track. He's won twice, but he's got to have a good finish today to jump up in the top 10. Mike Massaro?
And Jamie, what about pride? For a number of drivers in today's field, that's what today's race is all about. There's a virtual who's list of drivers so far who are winless in 2008. Guys like Kevin Harvick, Matt Kenseth, and perhaps most notably, Jeff Gordon, who's not been shut out since 1993. A goose egg in the win column at the end of the day could make for a very long offseason. Conversely, a win, that could go a very long way, because the guy who goes to victory lane this afternoon has bragging rights all the way until February. Shannon?
Mike, the final battle you'll see on the track here today is a battle for the top 35 in owner points. Now, the major players in the game of who's in and who's out, Marcos Ambrose, Robbie Gordon, and the 84 of Red Bull Racing. Now, the 84 car is normally driven by Scott Speed, but in an attempt to gain the 17 points that team needs to get into the top 35, they've switched drivers. Brian Vickers will be behind the wheel of that car here today. Now, the winner of the top 35 in owner points does not celebrate in victory lane here today. Their celebration will come next season when they have guaranteed entry into the first 5 races of the season, including, Doc, the Daytona 500.
Thank you, guys. This broadcast is available in Spanish by activating your SAP button, presented by ESPN Deportes. Again, the season finale, 400 miles, so much pressure, so much to be decided here in this final race of the year. Remember, Jimmie Johnson must finish 36th or better to win it all and make NASCAR history. And there is no more difficult or dangerous time for a driver mired back in the field than the early laps when everything can break loose. Fans on their feet, glad to have you with us on what could be a history-making day here in South Florida as the field comes down for the green flag. First-time pole sitter David Rudiman trying to lead the first lap here, but Matt Kenseth has another opinion.
Well, he's racing him hard on the bottom. I thought maybe Carl Edwards would be the guy that could get out front early. Didn't get as good a start as his teammate Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, and Rudiman got a nice jump on the start of the race. It's pretty obvious he wanted to lead that first lap after winning his first pole.
There's a 29 car of Kevin Harvick looking on the inside of the racetrack. Remember the 83 car, that is the inexperienced rookie Scott Speed, who qualified on the outside front row, so some of the veterans tiptoeing around him or trying to go around him early.
And he's doing a great job. I mean, he's staying right up with these guys. He's not done anything goofy around them. He's just looks as solid as any of the veterans. So far, so good for Scott Speed.
He had a fast car yesterday in practice, too, so he knows what's going on there. Back on Jimmie Johnson here as he tries to make his way up through.
He's already gained one position. Got to be careful.
See just a little bit of smoke trailing from the 48 there. You got to think that's maybe the splitter rubbing the racetrack.
I saw Jimmy before the race, found a driver in Doug. Very calm. He was just ready to get in his race car and do his job today.
Carl Edwards now going on the bottom of the racetrack. And again, remember, Carl needs to lead the most laps if he's to have a shot. He can win it and just lead one lap, but if he can lead the most laps, he can finish as far back as third. Not that that's far back at all.
He's going to have to stand on it big time, and he's doing it right here. Look how much tape he's got on that windshield. I don't know how he sees out of this race car. He's only got just a little opening. He's trying to shield that sun, which is going to get a little bit worse before it gets better tonight.
Edwards takes the second spot away now. Will set his sights on his teammate Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, there's that tape. Look at that, man. He can't hardly see. He's just got one little slit right there. He's got that tape down on the windshield, and he's also got some tape on the dash to kill some of the glare. So it comes up in front of him.
So far, he likes what he's seeing, though. There's only one guy in front of him. So
Jimmie Johnson a little racy here early on, not wasting any time to make a move now inside the 16 car up to 23rd position from his 30th starting spot.
Jimmy was really happy with his race car in practice yesterday. He said they got it pretty much where they wanted it, very comfortable. Said it's awful hard to drive, though. These cars are hard. They're a handful to drive around here. Dave?
And DJ, remember what our in-race reporter crew chief, Tony Uri Jr., said before this race. When it gets dark, we'll have to go to the bottom of this racetrack. Chad Knaus told me this morning we have to make progress while the sun is out. That's because we have options now. Jimmy can go low, Jimmy can go high, but when the sun goes down, everyone will go to the bottom and will have fewer options to choose from. They'll try to make as much hay as they can while the sun's still out.
Kevin Harvick making a move for third position. Harvick, one of the drivers that is yet to win here in 2008, has also never won at this racetrack in a Cup car.
He takes that third spot away from David Rudiman. Scott Speed right behind Rudiman. These two guys that started on the front row still hanging right up there.
Heard Dave talking about how this track changes so much that the race does start in the daylight and ends after darkness, and there's a huge transition in terms of grip level on this racetrack, and these cars will change abruptly.
I'm watching this lead here. These guys have gotten out to a couple seconds.
Lead one earlier.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if they were going to do that. They got a little bit of lead. They could actually swap this thing, at least give the 5 points to the 99 car. Dave?
And guys, Matt Kenseth is a driver with horsepower, not just under the hood, but with management. He calls Doug Yates, the engine builder, most every Monday morning, giving him feedback, advice, feedback on what the motor did, what it didn't, and ideas to give them more horsepower at Roush Fenway Racing. Even though Matt would probably not admit it, he's been a big part of the improvements here at Roush Racing, and he's helped give them the horsepower they have under the 17 and under his teammate, the 99 of Carl Edwards.
Yeah, see, Carl trying to take the lead and get those 5 bonus points, but I can assure you that you give Doug Yates just a little bit of information and a direction that you want to go, and that's what you'll have. Just give him a little bit of time to work with his people and work on those engines, and that's what he'll have for you.
Plus, in sports, it never hurts to give someone a little pat on the back and say, hey, thanks for all your hard efforts. Well, I thought Matt might move out of the way and let Carl at least have a lap, but that hasn't happened thus far.
I'm surprised, really, that Matt's running as hard as he is trying to keep this lead. I know Carl has to win and lead the most laps, so that's a lot he has to do. But Matt Kenseth has an agenda, too. He wants to win this race. He hasn't won this year, and he wants to get that win. But I'm really kind of surprised that he's not at least letting Carl lead a lap here.
Matt Kenseth's last victory came at this racetrack 1 year ago. It's been 35 races since he's been to victory lane. In fact, in this race a year ago, he dominated by leading 214 laps, the most ever by a winner here at Homestead, Miami.
You know, we can talk about these guys being teammates. They have their own agendas, though. They're in this race. I think that's what makes our sport so great. Well, we have to go back a year ago to where a little confrontation at Martinsville between these two drivers right here. Matt might have a pretty good memory and say, you come up here and earn this if you want it.
That's what I love. You're right. This is what I love about the sport. Everybody out here, each one of these teams stands on its own, even if they're under the same umbrella. They share information off the racetrack, but once that green flag flies, it's just everybody for himself.
Promise you.
48 car of Jimmie Johnson has now moved up 9 positions in 10 laps. Started back in 30th spot, and Jimmie Johnson trying to get there. In happy hour, final practice, by the way, Jimmie was 4th quickest overall. Let's check in on Carl Edwards. Mike.
Well, guys, it wouldn't be a surprise to see Carl be a little bit patient and wait to make his move. His crew chief, Bob Osborne, has been on the radio at least twice today saying the exact same message. Be smart, be smooth, and don't give it away. This team certainly knows what they need to do to possibly bring home that trophy today.
Carl Edwards was very patient here in the NASCAR Nationwide race on Saturday night. He needed to lead a lot of laps. It took him about 18 to 20 laps to get up there. Didn't want to use up the car too much early on.
It's kind of like what we're seeing here. As we run a few laps, and now you see him really challenging Matt, trying to get this spot. We've run 13 laps so far. Carl does seem to excel as you put laps on the tires.
Yeah, he's just good at, probably better than anybody else with sliding his car around. And he's not going to press the issue right here. That bottom's going to be hard to pass on right now.
12 of 267 laps in the books. Matt Kenseth is our leader. You're watching ESPN on ABC. Here's Carl Edwards running in 2nd spot. Jimmie Johnson moving up steadily now to 19th position. Now, while you were away, a little teamwork did take over here for Roush Fenway.
Yeah, Carl gets a little bit of a run off turn 4, and once he had position, when they came to the start-finish line, Matt Kenseth backed out of the gas just a little bit, let Carl have this lead for at least momentarily. He let him lead a couple of laps, and then looked to me like Carl let him back by.
Now he gave it back to Kenseth, and now here comes Carl again. So Edwards actually led 3 laps, and now he will go by and lead again.
And I think he's saying now that, you know, I caught you. I appreciate what you did there. You see Carl wiggle just a little bit there in turn 2. But I think he feels like he has the better car.
That's the way it works. I mean, if he needs to lead that lap, the teammate will give it to him, let him lead a lap, and then give it back, swap back, and then, okay, now it's game on. If you can get by me now, take off.
Yeah, they better look in their mirror because Kevin Harvick's coming at him pretty good as you see Harvick coming into the picture there.
2 Roush Fenway teammates in Fords. There comes Harvick, the Chevy you were talking about, Dale Jarrett. And Harvick, one of the drivers who hasn't won here, but when I visited with his car at Richard Childress this morning, he said, you know, this 29 car is going to be really good today. Well, they have swapped it back and forth a couple of times between the 99 and 17. A couple of teammates. Kenseth let Carl lead a lap, then Carl has gone back by. But let's listen into their radio. They may not be real happy with each other.
Wasn't meant to be permanent. I don't do this crap, and they don't give it back to you. Negative. He said he wants it back here. I'm sorry. Bob was motioning. He said, I thought he said let him go. So if you give it to him back, just take it back from him. He's about 3 back, though.
Okay, Okay, that's just what we were talking about. When Matt let the 99 car go by, he thought the deal was, okay, I'll let you lead a lap, then let me back in front. Well, it was a couple laps before Carl actually gave it back to him.
That's what's so great about our sport. And so, we talk about teammates. You have to be really careful on how you use that word here. Yeah, they drive for the same organization, but it's not like other sports, not like they play for the Miami Dolphins, and they're working for a common goal. They have, and so it gets a little bit exciting at times.
We talk about agendas. How about the 44 car, our pole sitter David Rudiman, and getting his very first pole for Michael Waltrip Racing, and how big would it be for him to be able to go to victory lane for the first time in his career here in this finale?
Well, that's his last race with UPS as a sponsorship, but this team has really shown a lot of promise. And talking to David this morning, he really felt like that he had a car capable of running up in the top 5 all day. He really feels like when it gets to the night part of the race that he's going to be in good shape.
Behind him, the 6 car, David Reagan, top 15 finishes the last 7 races, solidly 13th in the overall point standings.
He's got 2 teammates up there leading this thing, and he's hanging right in there too. These Roush guys have a great setup for this racetrack.
We thought maybe the young driver Scott Speed, the 83 car, making only his 5th start coming from Formula One, would probably struggle early on. I guess we were wrong, Jamie.
Maybe a little bit. New face. He's in a different number car. He's in Brian Vickers, number 83 this weekend. I talked to the team about Scott starting on the front row today, and they said the only thing we're concerned about is running up front with these drivers. Even though this is his 5th start, he's never raced against these guys. He's been running around the back, kind of learning his way around the NASCAR routes. So far, guys, he's doing a great job. His spotter's telling him great line as he holds on to 6th position.
Jamie, he is holding his...
He's just been so solid this whole week. I mean, he came here qualified great every practice, and he's sitting right there. I mean, I think he's starting to get this thing.
He is hanging on, and one guy who's moving, though, toward him is this guy, Jimmie Johnson, who is our biggest mover here in the first 24 laps so far. Started back in 30th position, has now gained 12 spots up to 18th, and I don't think it'll be long. We'll see this car in the top 10.
Well, he said they were very pleased with their race car, and Jimmy's done exactly what he set out to do. Let things string out a little bit, and then kind of all he has to do is pass them one at a time at that point in time. And a long way to go in this race. He can still be very patient. He's in a great position.
Still all 43 cars that started are on the racetrack. Jimmie Johnson moving up steadily. Carl Edwards is our leader.
See, can you make it on the line?
Carl Edwards leading here at Homestead Miami Speedway. 3 Roush Fenway cars in the top 5 right now. And Edwards needing to lead every single lap he can get. And let's listen in on his radio.
How's Jimmy running? P18, bud. P18. Let's not worry about that. Focus on what we got to do now. Yeah, 10-4. Just curious. We'll give you regular updates. 10-4.
See, he's kind of concerned about where Jimmy is, but he better be concerned about his rearview mirror.
Well, he just out there cruising out in the front. He wanted to know something, He knows he's got everything. He's doing his job right now. He is doing that. So he just wanted a little update.
You see that yellow car right there? He's coming.
That's Kevin Harvick, who's now going by his teammate Matt Kenseth to take the 2nd spot away. Shannon.
Yeah, Doc, Kevin Harvick just turned the fastest lap on the racetrack. Right now he's saying he's just a little bit tight through the center on both ends of the racetrack, but they have been very happy with this car all weekend long. In fact, Todd Barrier, crew chief for Kevin Harvick, told me the only real changes that they've made are a little bit of change to camber and a little bit of change to those spring rubbers, taking them in and out. No changes that they cannot fix on a pit stop. They feel that this weekend is their best chance to get to victory lane. Of course, their first victory of the season.
Let's ride along and watch our direct TV telemetry here and watch him just hammer that throttle coming off the corner.
See, it's a fast racetrack. These guys are humming down the straightaway, 185, 86, 7 miles an hour. See, they just apply a little bit of brake just so he can get to the bottom of the racetrack. If he was running the high line, he might not use quite as much brake. He gets to the throttle pretty quick.
Jimmie Johnson continuing to move up and pick positions off one at a time, trying to move into 17th if he gets by Sorensen here, the 41 car. Dave.
And Doc, I asked crew chief Chad if they made any significant adjustments to get this car to work in traffic. And he said, you know what, you can't do a lot with it. The driver just has to suck it up. Well, Jimmy's been working hard, picking up positions, and his car has changed over this run. At first, it was tight off the corner on the throttle, and now back on lap 23, he reported it was a little bit free. So changing, and the driver sucking it up and working hard.
You know, I talked to a number of drivers down there, and every one of them said those very words, working hard. It's hard working there at this racetrack with these cars. And so they all knew that it was going to be a long 400 miles, but Jimmie Johnson was ready for it.
We've also seen him change the groove a little bit, Andy. He was running way up high in early laps. Now he's moved to the middle and bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, I kind of speculated he might be running that high line, and just in case he has a problem, he doesn't have that far to go to the wall, and maybe not tear the car up. But you see that smoke. He's banging the splitter pretty hard. It looks like getting in the corner.
Did you mention smoke?
I did. There he is.
Tony Stewart, final ride here with Joe Gibbs Racing. 10-year relationship, 33 victories, 2 NASCAR. $1 million in earnings, and it all goes away after this race. How much would he like to give Joe Gibbs and these guys one final win?
Yeah, I was talking to Tony about that. He said he'd love to do that. He was happy with his race car. Only thing he said was whenever things cooled down a little bit, it got a little tighter in the center than what he would like to. They made a couple of changes to try to help that. Obviously, that'll come a little later on.
Here's his teammates, the 18 car, Kyle Busch. What a phenomenal year he has had, 8 victories, including the first win for Toyota in NASCAR Sprint Cup competition. And the 11 car, Denny Hamlin, who was the fastest car in the final practice here on Saturday.
Yeah, you better watch this guy before this is over with, because he's on the move. Jimmie Johnson started out kind of on his bumper here back about 18 laps ago, and Denny Hamlin drove away from him, being able to pass cars pretty much at will on the bottom of the racetrack most of the time here early on.
Hamlin has now gained 14 spots from his 25th starting position. Amazing. Denny Hamlin never qualifies well. He started 33rd and 32nd the last 2 years, but in both races he's finished in the top 5.
He knows how to get a good race setup. He knows what he wants to feel in the car, and he's got it. He did it in happy hour, and he's making headway right now. Gets by Kyle Busch.
Yeah, getting a little extra boost there down the straightaway from his teammate Kyle Busch.
We've seen some of that here this weekend. There's some little bump drafting at this track.
When you slide up in front of that guy that's on that using the top side, it's really easy to run up there and get a little something. Here's Carl Edwards, our leader. He's out about a second and a half in front of Kevin Harvick right now.
38 laps in, and here is the guy leading the show right now, Carl Edwards. Jimmie Johnson moving in, though, from 30th starting spot all the way up to 17th. Johnson chasing history, Carl Edwards chasing a victory and maybe an outside shot at being the last man standing when this day is done.
Both Carl Edwards and Jimmie Johnson, the 2 drivers eligible to claim the championship today. Brad, doing what they need to do.
Yeah, both guys are on their games. Carl Edwards has led 30 laps, 30 of the 44 laps. He's run up front. He's running strong. We got Jimmie Johnson, who's moved from 30th all the way up to 18th position. He's picked up 12 spots. So both guys are doing exactly what they have to do to be competitive.
Well, I tell you what, Brad, one thing I'm noticing right now, I've been watching these lap times real closely, and between the start of the race to lap 20, these cars fell off over a second and 3/4. I mean, that's a ton. Yeah. But from lap 20 to 40, they've only slowed up 3.5 tenths. So Ray and Brad and Alan, what that's telling me on a restart, these guys better strike fast if they're going to get some track position, because that's when the tires are good. I think they can pass a lot of cars right then.
And the team's getting ready for their first set of pit stops, right?
They are. It's a good point, Rusty. And it's probably tire pressure or temperature, not wear. There you see, we should be seeing pit stops at about lap 55 to 60. The only bad thing, Alan, is my caution history tells me that there should be a caution by about lap 60. So hopefully nobody gets caught.
All right. Well, Carl Edwards starting to put some of the cars at the back end of the field to lap down. And, Doc, those pit crews getting limbered up.
Indeed they are. They're just a few laps away. Carl now has led twice for 32 laps. There have been 4 lead changes among 3 leaders. David Rudeman, our pole sitter, led the first lap. Matt Kenseth has led 13 laps, and now Carl has led the bulk of the laps thus far. Jimmie Johnson started back in 30th position, has moved all the way up to 18th and stabilized for a moment. There's a second place car, Kevin Harvick, about 2 seconds behind Edwards.
Saw Kurt Busch go down a lap, and his teammate Ryan Newman's also in danger of going down a lap. Those guys will be glad to see, or at least get new tires on their car.
We see Jimmy Johnson here. He had actually passed Reed Sorenson.
On the bottom, got a little too tight. On the top, I'm a little stuck through the center, and then trying to get the power down. I'm a little edgy off. Not terrible. I don't know why I'm slowing down so much here.
You hear him talk about his car getting a little bit tight, and I noticed that he passed Reed Sorenson and gone away a little bit, but now the 41 of Reed has pulled away a little bit. You see, here comes Brian Vickers in the 84. Up in front of Reed Sorenson is Bill Elliott, having a great run here today. He's up in 16th. They qualified well, running extremely well.
Former NASCAR Sprint Cup champion and former winner here, Homestead Miami Speedway. Speculation, Bill said he may come back and run a limited schedule in 2009 with the Wood Brothers in this Ford. Thought they made quite a bit of progress, even though he ran a very limited schedule this year.
Yeah, you see how one of our first guys on pit road, too, Robbie Gordon, has hit the pit road. Robbie's in a battle, stay in that top 35 in points.
See, these guys are taping up this crack in the wall just to make sure that their hose doesn't get hung on that. I mean, it's all about the details. The little things in this deal can really hurt you or make the difference in a win. And that's right there, that crack in the wall. You see the crack in the concrete. They want to try to just minimize any hang up there.
That's why Chad Knaus and those guys, no stone left unturned. Make sure nothing can catch that cable of that in the crack there and rip it or tear it. Here he comes. The 2 is also in. One guy struggling here still down the Shannon Spade.
Doc Kurt Busch has used 3 words to describe this car. Very, very tight. They're going to make an air pressure and a wedge adjustment. 4 tires for Kurt Busch on this number 2 Dodge.
We heard Jimmy Johnson describe his race car, a little tight in the center, a little free off. They will make it appear just an air pressure adjustment. 4 tires full of Sunoco fuel on this stop. The guy's just trying to be smooth, keep their driver in position that he had, and continue to make up spots, maybe even during this green flag sequence.
Earnhardt Jr. getting in a significant adjustment. He had actually gone backwards here in the early lap.
And they had a problem with the right rear tire, too. They were making that chassis adjustment, but the right rear tire changer had a little problem with the lug nut. It's a little bit of a slow stop for the 88.
Mike.
Carl Edwards in his box now. The car a little bit loose on the gas, loose off. They're going to add a round of bite. Also make an air pressure adjustment. A 4-tire change on the 99 car. As they work on the left side, a pretty quick stop so far, and they're away.
Yeah, nice stop by those guys.
Here's the 2014. They need a good pit stop here. They'd lost a lot of ground, and they're going to be in danger of going down a lap in this next run if they don't have a good pit stop.
29 of Harvick. Shannon.
Kevin Harvick still battling tight conditions. They're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment on that right front, but this is such a great run for this 29 team right now. 4 tires, Kevin Harvick down away 14 seconds. Mike.
David Rudiman saying his car needs to turn a little bit better in the center. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment to that car. Also a 4-tire change as the team sweeps around now to the left side. Still up on the jack. They'll pull away a tearaway, and Rudiman's away, Jamie.
And Tony Stewart in his pit box, he's already down on the way. He said he was just a little tight. They were making a wedge adjustment. 4 tires for Tony Stewart, making his last run with the Home Depot team, guys.
Kyle Busch coming out there. There's the 9 car, Casey Kane in. Juan Pablo Montoya had been the leader. Now he has come on the pit road in his 42 car. Mike.
Crew Chief Brian Patty said they've really hit on something about 6 weeks ago. They're hoping that will carry them at least to a top 5 finish. Right now, car just a little bit loose off, but otherwise Juan Pablo extremely happy with his race car. A 4-tire change, and he's away as well.
Here's Greg Biffle, and apparently too fast entering on pit road in the first segment. He'll have to come back through.
Right there, dig, dig, dig.
Oh, that's the pass-through, I should say, on the penalty for having to come back through on pit road for Biffle.
Kurt Busch did also. He was too fast on entering also. He's completed his pass-through.
Very tricky to get on pit road here, DJ.
Very tough. You have to come in on the access road off before you get to turn 3 at the end of the back straightaway. You can go around there as fast as you want to, but then you have to get slowed down.
Cycling through on pit stops, Carl Edwards back being shown as the leader again. Let's watch the 17 car.
Oh, he's got a little too much rear brake there.
I mean, talk me in. I mean, 10, 5, 4, right here or something. I can't see anything down the front. I can't see nothing. That's far. Sorry, I thought whenever I said come right around the 48, you would understand what I was saying. see car numbers. I can't see. It's just all glare.
He completely overshot that pit stall, and that sun is becoming a factor.
Very difficult time of the day for these guys, not only on the racetrack, but as you saw right there, just trying to find your pit can be difficult. You have a lot of grit on the windshield right now. You have a lot of sand down here. It makes it tough to see. And those first pit stops coming under green, you really aren't exactly sure exactly where it's at.
There's the point separation up top now. Jimmie Johnson just 64 points ahead of Carl Edwards. And Jimmie running back in 15th spot. Carl Edwards a leader and narrowing that points gap here after the first green flag stops. Let's take a look at our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge. Which driver will have the best chance to win their first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship in 2009? Will it be Mark Martin, who, by the way, will drive for Hendrick Motorsports next year, Dale Earnhardt Jr., his teammate Kyle Busch, or Greg Biffle? To play, text the word crew to 191 on your AT&T wireless phone and send in your answer. The results will be shown later in the race. Standard text rates will apply. It's a tough choice there.
That's some good ones.
Yeah, and it'd be great to see any of those guys win a championship, that's for sure. Carl Edwards doing everything he can to try to win one.
Everyone has cycled through with their first green flag pit stop, so now Carl Edwards again back up front as the leader. So let's let Ford take you up to speed, beginning with our leader, Mike Massaro.
Well, Doc, talking with crew chief Bob Osborne this morning, it seemed like he was pretty realistic about the situation. He says, look, we need something to happen, but we at the same time know what we need to do. We need to go out there, lead as many laps as possible, and potentially win this race. Can't finish any worse than third. He said the only way, though, that we'll be heartbroken at the end of this day is if the 48 team does have problems and we're not able to capitalize. Right now, they're taking advantage of whatever they can. Shannon?
Well, Mike, another driver who would love to go to victory lane here today is Kevin Harvick, currently running second. They made a small air pressure adjustment on that last pit stop just to try to free that 29 car up. But here at Homestead Miami Speedway, Kevin Harvick has been very consistent. In 7 starts, he has 5 top 10s, and Todd Barrier, his crew chief, told me this morning they feel this is the best that they've been all season long. Dave.
Shannon, remember recently when Tony Stewart gave his endorsement for Most Improved Driver in 2008 to the driver of the 6 car, David Reagan? I asked his crew chief, Jimmy Fennig, about that this morning, and he said, well, he definitely deserves it. I said, well, so what does a young driver learn that has given him that kind of credibility this year? He said, now David has learned when to race and how to race. You can't win the race if your car is wrecked and sitting on the hauler. They made a track bar and air adjustment for a tight race car on that first stop. Mike?
After qualifying on the pole this weekend, the obvious question, or so I thought, for Ryan Pemberton was, well, can you get it to victory lane as well? He said, I don't even want to talk about wins yet. Our main goal at the beginning of the year was just to be competitive and be able to run with the top 5. We are certain that we can do that today, but it took us a lot longer than we anticipated. He expected that this team would be this competitive back in June, and he wished that they were where they are now, way back at the beginning of the summer. So they're just beginning to peak, but he's not sure they can get the victory lane just yet. Jamie?
And behind David Rudiman, it's Jamie McMurray. 3 of the last 5 races he has finished in the top 5, including 3rd at Phoenix last weekend. Things are on a roll. He and his team have clicked. They feel like they can win here today. The bad news for Jamie, though, this is the last race for he and crew chief Larry Carter. Larry Carter moving over to work with Paul Menard at Roush Yates next year, so Jamie will have Donnie Wingo as old crew chief. But right now, they're just looking to get to victory lane one last time together. Shannon?
Jamie, the end of the season has been very tough for the number 1 of Martin Truex Jr. 3 DNFs in the past 7 races, but they are certainly looking to go out on a high note with a strong run here today. On the first run, the car was loose off the turn, so they did make a wedge and an air pressure adjustment. The car is still loose for Martin, so what he's doing right now is he's trying to move to the top of the racetrack, as you see him right there going through the turns, just to try to find a little grip. Dave?
Matt Kenseth going to the bottom to try to get back one of the 4 spots they lost on pit row with that little snafu. The car was just a little bit tight, took a track bar and air adjustment for that, but Matt not happy. He fell from 3rd to 7th during this round of pit stops. Mike?
And this will be Casey Mears' final run with the Hendrick Motorsports operation before moving on. And right now the car not exactly to his liking. A little bit loose on exit of turn 4, so much that he says he can't even hit the throttle on exit and using a lot more brake than he wants to, Jamie.
And Tony Stewart, it's been an emotional ride for him this weekend, knowing he's moving on from Joe Gibbs Racing, the team he's been with for 9 years. But I asked him before he got in the car about his new endeavors. He's going to be an owner/driver. As you see Casey Mears try to go to the inside of Tony Stewart, he told me, you know what, we're going back to business tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. His entire team at Stewart-Haas will have to report. He said, I won't be there, but we're getting on the game plan. We're ready for next year. Behind him, Denny Hamlin. He's come to life. He just popped in the top 10 for the first time today. Of course, Denny Hamlin, he's won here twice. He's actually finished here third twice the last 2 years. Great racetrack for Denny Hamlin. He's running right now in the top 10 cars. So far, so good. Doc?
69 laps in, and it's all about Carl Edwards doing what he has to do. And here is a 3-time winner, Greg Biffle, in the 16 car. Oh, sideways, Eric Almirola in his Chevy.
Let off. Now hold it again. All right, now go.
He lost it coming off of turn 4 there, slid all the way down the front stretch, didn't hit anything.
Looks like the right rear's flat. Just be easy with it, caution's out.
Looks like just a nice lazy spin. If he can get this thing back to pit road without the tires coming apart, he'll be fine.
Well, there's a lot of people out here, sigh of relief, that want to work on their race cars. They're glad to see that, and glad it wasn't them bringing out the caution. You can see him get loose there.
Looks like he just got behind on the steering a little bit. And just like Dick Beatty used to tell us, the old director for NASCAR competition in
that's right.
Cup Series, he said, turn her left and log her down.
From Michael Waltrip's onboard camera, watch Almirola have a handful. Hard to see.
Extremely hard to see. Michael wasn't there when he went by.
Keep rolling.
Michael's back there struggling. Michael just went 2 laps down. Look how quickly everything happens right here. Right in front of him, you can't see. You're just hoping that car went to the bottom like it's supposed to.
He does a great job not to hit the wall. He let off the brakes at just the right time.
Yeah, and you were just getting ready to talk about Greg Biffle. Big break for him. They were reporting a loose wheel. Greg is already a lap down, and as of right now, where he was in third in the points coming into this race, he's back to 5th, the way things are running right now. So,
guys, what are we going to see on pit stops, our veteran crew chiefs? What's going to happen?
Well, you're going to see a lot of 4-tire changes and a lot of chassis adjustments.
And I think that some of the guys in the mid-pack that need track position are going to come and try the 2-tire thing right now. It just seems like track position is pretty important. We've only got about 15 laps on those left sides.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, this is the time to do it because of those, like you said, just 15 laps on the tires. It's a perfect opportunity to do that.
Leaders have peeled off, and that is the access road. You must come in to commit to pit road. Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick, David Reagan, David Rudeman.
And as a driver, I'm going to ask y'all if we can wait till tonight when it gets a little more grip before we can just try 2 tires. But I know what your strategy is.
Under caution for them today here coming out on lap 69, the spin of the 8 car. Here they come down at 45 miles an hour. Dave.
Jimmy Johnson up to 14th now from 30th starting position. 4 tires and fuel. If anything, an air pressure adjustment. Jimmy says right now the car is pretty good. Shannon.
And Kevin Harvick has gone from tight to loose. They're going to go back on the air pressure adjustment that they made on the first pit stop. 4 tires and fuel. Mike.
Carl Edwards said he started that run pretty good, but they began to get a little bit tight in the center. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment, a 4-tire change in Sunoco race fuel, but other than that, no major adjustments on the 99 as he pulls away.
And Edwards hustles it out of the pits and will just beat Harvick out, and Reagan. Clint Boyer is there. And almost some contact between Montoya and Kyle Busch. Show you how close this actually was. Watch the 99.
Half a car length.
It's all about inches here in NASCAR. Details. Carl Edwards, guys, getting it done here under caution. Think he's got. Under caution for the first time today at Homestead Miami Speedway. The leaders have been on pit road and everyone has had service. Let's take you over the wall with rear tire changer DJ Kopp for Chad McCumbee.
It always gets interesting because he's got to come around one, cut it close against them guys, and then stop short because the 25's in their box. No call. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5.
It was hard enough for me to change tires without talking, and he's doing it and talking.
Let's head it to the green. Let's listen in to Jimmie Johnson from a moment ago.
Dad, it feels like when I'm coming in, I can't see which board sign is mine, so turning didn't help. But if you could say like 3-2 or 4-3-2, like count me down, because I have no idea what sign I'm looking at.
Visibility a major issue, and the sun's even getting worse here before it gets better, trying to get behind that big grandstand.
Yeah, they still probably have about 40, 45 more minutes of dealing with that sun as bad as it is right now as we get ready to go back to green.
Carl Edwards leading the Ford 400 here at Homestead Miami Speedway. There's his teammate, the 16 car of Greg Biffle. DJ, you mentioned he got a break. He is the first car a lap down and now gets in front of the leaders. He'll be on the tail end of the lead lap.
Yeah, Greg's hoping that can get a quick caution that doesn't involve him now that he's back on the lead lap. You have to be careful in wishing for those things sometimes. You know, you said, I really need a break here, but I don't need for this caution to be me.
Told him how many times I thought that on the pit box. Man, we need a caution. And they go, caution, and it's us.
Yeah.
NASCAR has given these crews one extra man to go over the wall to help deal with the visibility issues and the windshield.
That's the only thing that extra man can do is service the driver and then clear that windshield either with a cleaner or pull those tear-offs.
Let's watch these guys. Let's follow them through 3 and 4 here. We're going to get a good idea of exactly what they're dealing with as we come down the front stretch. Just you come off turn 4. This is what you're seeing the entire way. You can see, you can just barely see the car in front of him. There it is. Just about where you're getting ready to let off.
At 170 plus miles an hour.
Oh, yeah, nothing to it. Yeah. No, it is anxious moments, and you're glad whenever you get to that point where that sun gets down behind the sweets that are down there in turn 1.
There's that bump drafting. We've seen some of that this weekend.
Clint Boyer and his crew opting to take 2 tires. The 07 car helped move him up into 3rd position on that exchange a moment ago.
He's holding it too. I mean, he's not losing any spots. You see Elliott Sadler now putting some pressure on him, but Elliott Sadler's a lap down.
Yeah, a lot of racing going on here after this restart. Guys worked on their cars, getting them better. Makes it more difficult, or a lot more fun. Jamie got more on 07.
Well, remember last night in the Nationwide Series, he was kind of mired back a little bit. They came in, took 2 tires. He got all the way up in the top 5, and he stayed there the entire night, clinched the championship. They learned something, guys. So this time it was all about track position. Came in 17th position, and they came out 3rd. So far, so good. The 07 wanted to get up front. They've got a great car. They feel like it's capable of winning here today.
Jamie, with that performance last night, Clint Boyer became NASCAR's newest Nationwide Series champion. 20th different driver to win a nationwide title. So he wins a championship last night and then battling in another race here in the Cup car today.
Yeah, great job last night by Clint Boyer, and certainly congratulations to him. I think it's important we point out right now, all 43 cars are still running, and even though Jimmie Johnson has moved up quite a bit, if anything should happen at this point in time, because all of those guys are still out there, it'd be very big.
And right now, as you watch this gaggle of cars mix it up here, remember, Carl Edwards has to lead the most laps, which is what he has done right now. He's doing what he has to do. Here is Jimmie Johnson.
Yeah, Carl's leading, going away. You see Jimmy, he's racing for these spots. It's pretty hectic back in the pack.
He's been right in the middle of it. These guys have been 2 and 3 wide a lot, racing right around him, in front of him.
We just joined our coverage. Jimmie Johnson had a 141-point lead coming in. Started back in 30th because of a poor qualifying effort, and is now trying to make his way into the top 10. 24 car, his teammate Jeff Gordon. And been a bit of a struggle for the 2014 thus far today. Shannon.
Yeah, Steve Letarte, crew chief for Jeff Gordon, told me the biggest challenge they were going to face today was their starting position, starting all the way in the back in 37th. Letarte told me we cannot get aggressive. We have to be patient. If we adjust our car back in the field, if and when we make it to the front, then the car will be no good. We have to wait, be patient, and adjust it when we get up there. Right now, Jeff Gordon is basically having the same problems as everyone else I'm hearing. Is just where the sun is hitting, the car is tight, and where the shade is, the car's a little bit loose. So just waiting for that sun to go down.
That's what a lot of these guys are going to face. If they've got these cars set up, they know the race is going to be won after the sun goes down. They're just having to deal with it right now.
See, up here 4 wide off this corner. Look at this. See Dale Earnhardt Jr. really working that high line. That's not, and now here he comes to the bottom. Coming down 3 lanes.
Yeah, get such a huge run. Then you don't want to get in off the gas at that point when you've got that run. So you just try to find some open space.
He's never had a lot of luck here in the NASCAR Sprint Cup car, although Earnhardt Jr. did win back-to-back NASCAR Nationwide Series titles. He has never had a top 10 finish. He said, but I've also never driven a Hendrick car here. Hopefully that'll change here tonight. 82 laps complete here in the Ford 400 Homestead Miami Speedway. Carl Edwards, our leader. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Life on Mars is on Thursday at 10 Eastern, 9 Central after an all-new Grey's Anatomy on ABC. Detective Sam Tyler is stuck in 1973. And this Thursday, you'll get one step closer to finding out why. He'll discover the truth about his family and find out what kind of man his father really was. ABC's Life on Mars, Thursday's new hit show. And from the ESPN Pitch Studio with Rusty Wallace, Brad Daugherty, and Ray Abraham, Alan Bestwick watching Carl Edwards continue to lead. He's opened up a 4.5-second gap on his teammate David Reagan, who's in second. And we want to focus on some of these guys second, third, and fourth right now for a minute.
Yeah, and particularly David Reagan, Kevin Harvick, David Rudiman. I mean, all 3 of these guys have different things they want to prove. In particular, Reagan and Rudiman, who want to win. They want to get the winner's circle, and they're doing their best job right now, putting their best foot forward. And we have Kevin Harvick, a previous winner in our series, who has struggled this season getting to victory lane. So he has something to prove to himself, so he didn't have all winter to think about it.
Absolutely, and you've got 2 young guys that are coming into their own. David Reagan, we've been on him all year about, man, when you're going to break through, when you're going to break through. It looks like as good as he's running right now, today might be the day.
I tell you, another thing I'm looking at, guys, is Clint Boyer. He's running 7th right now. He put 2 tires on, and I think that's a really good time to do that, to see if it's going to work or not for later in the race. So a lot of strategy going on right now. Some of these guys are doing it early, but I do agree with you guys. There's some guys that need a win, that need a good run, and that old David Reagan, that cat is running good, and a lot of them are out there. So I'm pulling for them all, I'll tell you that.
If you saw our NASCAR countdown, you saw Dave Burns' interview with Tony Stewart, his last drive for Joe Gibbs Racing after 10 years. Saw a lot of emotion from Tony, heard a lot of emotion. Wouldn't it be something if he could end his time with that team with a victory? And right now he's driven that number 20 car up to 5th place.
Yes, he has. Tony's got a good run going, got a good, solid, stable-looking race car. They had a good pit stop, so I think Tony Stewart's definitely a threat to get the victory lane today.
So we are about a third of the way through this race. Right now, Carl Edwards has got himself a pretty big lead, Doc.
Indeed he does. Exactly what he has to do, guys. He had to come here and lead laps and try to lead the most laps. Could not finish worse than third and hope that somehow he could get maximum points and pray that something would happen to the 48 car, which right now has not been the case as Jimmy Johnson is in 11th position.
His biggest competition today is probably going to come from his teammate David Reagan. Right now he's beating him about 2/10 a lap. Here's another teammate that he may have to worry about because this car's been running good week in, week out.
Back-to-back third-place finishes. And what did Rusty say? Jamie McMurray last week went out to Phoenix and got on one knee and proposed to his longtime fiance. He said, when you do that, you know you're going to have some debt, so you got to drive hard.
You got to get up on that wheel, boy.
He's driving hard. You can see him working the steering wheel as he came off of turn 4 there. A little bit better off of turn 2 there. Jamie?
Well, DJ, of course, with the runs that he's had the last few weeks, I had to ask his crew chief, Larry Carter, what is the difference? He said, well, there's a few things that are different. He said, first of all, this new car, Jamie has just taken a long time to adapt to it. But Jamie is an old school driver, he said, kind of like Rusty Wallace. And we know Rusty Wallace worked with Larry Carter, crew chief, you see on the right of your screen. And Rusty, I just want to bring this up to you. He said that you guys were facilitators with the old car. You'd come in, you'd say what the conditions were, and you'd say what you want changed. Apparently, they can't do that with this car.
Well, this car is a lot more technical. There's no doubt about that. But Larry Carter is old school. Carter has got so much common sense, it's incredible. I mean, he can talk to Jamie, he can read his eyes, and these two guys that work so good together, I hate to see this relationship end, because in my mind, it just now starting to get some good momentum. But I tell you, this combo is fantastic right now, Jamie.
You heard her talking about this car. You can't really, the driver just can't tell you what to do to this car. And one reason is a lot of times I've talked to these crew chiefs in the garage. They say that it's hard for the driver to really tell them what the car is doing because you have to just slide this car around so much. You really never get a good feel for where the car is.
Yeah, between everything you have going on with this car, with the splitter in the front, you don't have a lot of travel there. You're coil binding these springs, the shock absorber there to run out. It's just hard to feel. You're working hard in the car, and it just makes it more difficult to tell them what you want. You have to take a minute and really examine and go over each lap and decide exactly what your car is doing, because what it's doing in one end, it might not be doing in the other. It makes it difficult for these drivers and crew chiefs to really cipher out what exactly is happening with the race car.
And these teams are building third, fourth, and fifth generation cars. In fact, the car that Carl Edwards is driving, I think, is a third generation car. They keep getting better every time they go build a new one.
Yeah, with the old car, you would just drive in the corner, wheel it to the left, a little bit like what we see Carl Edwards do. But you see he's having to saw it just a little bit. Most of the time, you're seeing these guys saw that wheel back and forth all the way through the corner. And when you're doing that, it's really hard to tell exactly what the car is doing. Now, you can make speed, which Carl knows how to make speed doing this. And he's one of the guys that has a great feel for what his car really is doing.
Mike? And I can tell you what it's doing. He just came over the radio, guys, and said the car's real free on throttle, and they need to tighten it up next stop. But he did give Bob a lot of credit. He said whatever adjustments you made the last stop, which were only air pressure, he said that really helped. Expect more of that throughout the day.
You can really hear him working the throttle there as he's going through the corner. That means he just doesn't have the feel of the back end that he would like to have, but he's doing it better than anybody else right now, so it's not working too bad.
Carl has a 4-second lead over David Reagan in second spot. Now the 48 car of Jimmie Johnson inching his way toward the top 10. He is currently 11th. Dave.
Hey guys, I just wanted to talk Chase a little bit. Carl has not done poorly at all in this chase. He has equaled Jimmie in a lot of ways in the way he's run. But the one thing that Jimmie hasn't done is run terrible anywhere. His worst finish in the chase was 15th at Texas. And remember when we thought it was going to be like an 8th place finish would win the chase and the average would win the chase every year? Well, Jimmie in his first year that he won in 2006, he averaged an 11th place finish through 9 races. Last year they bested that to 4.7, and this year through 9 races, average finish 4.6. They just haven't finished awful any time.
Yeah, the days of winning a championship with a 10th place average finish are over as long as Carl Edwards and Jimmie Johnson are out there putting up numbers like they are.
That's why I just have to laugh. I've read a lot of stuff this week about, we got to change the chase and change the point. Hey, if a team and driver are going to go out and do this kind of thing, doesn't make any difference what kind of system you put out there. They're going to be the champions. Carl's had a great chase. He's had a great year, but he had those 2 races that hurt him at Talladega and Charlotte. Jimmie Johnson hasn't had that. They've done their job for all 9 and now 10 races so far.
Jimmie Johnson, Carl Edwards, a battle for the championship that should go down to the wire here tonight.
To your seats, embrace yourself. It's every driver's dream, and we're down to 12. Time to see who wants it most.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Coca-Cola Zero. Real Coke taste and 0 calories. Allstate. Are you in good hands? And the Home Depot. NASCAR's home improvement warehouse.
Laps clicking away here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Carl Edwards has now led 3 times for 87 laps. Needing to be able to move in. The margin now between him and Jimmie Johnson, just 76 points. He's almost cut the margin in half here. It was 141 when the day began. Now, the owner's points, very critical here to be able to get your car in the top 35 in owner's points in this last race, because that guarantees you starting spots in the first 5 races of 2009.
See, Marcus Ambrose was in the top 35 when we came here. He's in 36th spot as a running here, and 84 car has moved up with Brian Vickers. A good move for that team to put him in the car and try to get him into this top 35.
Might mention the Red Bull team actually putting Vickers in this 84 car, the more veteran driver, because he was the one that had to race this car into the top 35, and obviously it has made a difference.
And Robbie Gordon is in 34th spot, and he's got a 29-point cushion.
Janet.
Doc, while Brian Vickers is in this car here today, he was not the first driver that they considered for this race. Actually, Mark Martin, the team told me, was going to be in this car. In fact, they had Mark Martin's seat in the car. Monday morning, the manufacturers disagreed and said Martin could not be behind the wheel of this Toyota. So they did a switch internal. They took Brian Vickers from the 83, put him in this car. The team did tell me that this decision has nothing to do with Scott Speed's ability or their confidence in him. They just want him to be secure going into next season, the Daytona 500 and the 4 races that follow.
Shannon, but it also may have something to do with his experience. The fact that Scott Speed only has 5 starts, and obviously inexperience on a very difficult racetrack here could be tough. Pretty good battle here, the 0-7 and 5 car. These guys are going to be teammates next year.
Casey Mears going over to the Childress organization. He's got 4 tires from that last pit stop. Clint Boyer still on those just right sides. He's hanging in the top 10. It's working pretty good for Clint. If we have a long run here, it looks like it kind of stabilizes.
Yeah, and that's actually the car that Casey Mears will be driving is the 07. Clint will be moving to the 4th team that is being started at Richard Childress Racing.
But that'll be a 33 car, so it'll be a 4-car team in 2009. Right behind this, there comes the 48 car, Jimmy Johnson. Now still holding 11th position, so it's Mears 9th, Boyer 10th, Johnson 11th, and Jeff Gordon behind him moving up a little bit. You see Jeff now inching into the picture. The best his car has run all day.
These guys are just steadily moving forward. Jimmy's doing just exactly what he needs to do today.
Exactly what he needs to do, especially at this point in time. He's well aware, and I'm sure that Chad has told him, look, there's still 43 cars running out here. Nobody's falling out of this race. We have to stay on our game plan right now.
20 of Tony Stewart able to make a pass on the 29 car for 4th position. And Kevin Harvick now sliding back to 5th. Shannon.
Doc, the race started so strong for this 29 car. It has gone very loose. This car is terrible, according to Kevin Harvick. They're going to get a little aggressive on this next pit stop. They are going to put a spring rubber in that left rear spring just to try to give Kevin some relief in this car.
Let's watch our direct TV telemetry, see if we can see how this car, how loose it is as far as how he uses the throttle of the brakes.
Get down in here in turn 3. This is where it's really going to show up right now if he's loose, because that's where the sun is on the racetrack still.
See, still, it takes a little time to get full throttle coming off the corner. Ideally, you want to go to that throttle and kind of put it on the mat. Yeah. Not able to quite do that.
Yeah, and that's certainly a straightaway speed. You can see we're in turns 1 and 2 here right now. It's totally in the shade. Racetrack's cooling down. Probably has a little bit more grip. So if Kevin can hang with this just a little bit longer, he'll get a better feel for the car.
Yeah, about 10 more laps. We'll be looking at some more pit stops too, so he'll get a little help with some new tires.
So as they get ready for pit stops and you see Carl Edwards continuing to pull away with the lead, we'll take a break. You're watching ESPN on ABC. At Homestead Miami Speedway, it is a must-win race for Carl Edwards if he's to have a shot and lead the most laps. Maybe he'd be able to sneak in and somehow win this championship. Lap 117 of the Ford 400, with pit stops are approaching here in just a few laps. Guys, it hasn't been easy at all trying to work some of this lap traffic.
Yeah, these last few laps have been pretty scary. See, he pulls right up on Marcus Ambrose. This Marcus just a little bit loose, and he has to even Edwards had to check up a little bit.
That was a little loose. You can see Carl trying to still make that pass.
Still there. Now you're 3.
3 wide coming off the corner.
2 wide.
These guys don't want to go down a lap.
Working awful hard there. Making Carl earn it.
One driver on the move is a guy who is yet to win this year. The 24 car, Jeff Gordon, moving in on his teammate, Casey Mears, and that is for 8th position.
Yeah, he's already passed his teammate, Jimmy Johnson. He's moving up pretty nicely.
Yeah, Johnson's falling back to 12th. But Gordon's been coming. He's using that high line. So he makes the pass on Casey Mears.
Gained 29 spots since the start of this race. Started way back in 37.
And what a surprise, Dale Earnhardt Jr. How far from the wall, DJ, did you say he was running?
It's an inch and a quarter, best I can tell. It's been amazing to watch him. And he enters the corner so much higher than other cars, too. And just stays right there. But he's making it work right now. Jamie?
Yeah, I was talking to Tony Eury Jr., his crew chief, this morning, and he said, There's the top line, and then there's Junior's top, and there's a big difference. He told me that Junior tells him that when he gets up there that close to the wall, that the air gets compressed against the wall, and it keeps the back end from sliding out. He said it's like a buffer. Would you guys know anything about that?
I don't know. We had his dad could see the air, and now Junior telling this. But what do these guys have, Andy?
I don't know, but Harry Gann, he used to say, when you get real close to the wall, you know you're right where you need to be when you can smell it. He said, you can smell the paint on the wall. It's a true story. That's what he did.
The Junior's up there, and there's other guys that run up there, but they don't make the time that Junior does. They have to slow down a lot more. I think Junior got a sniff of it that time. He was up there.
Now moving in the ninth spot, going by Mears. And that is the highest Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been after starting in the back of the pack.
See Casey Kane trying to stay on the lead lap, fighting off Carl Edwards.
Edwards a leader. David Reagan in second spot. David Rudeman, who was our pole sitter, running solidly back in third position. Mike.
And he's got obviously a very fast race car, but it's a big concern going into that corner, knowing what just happened. The throttle return spring, basically the spring that brings back the throttle pedal, has fallen off. There is a backup spring in the car, but that's obviously a pretty big concern to David Rudeman.
Throttle return spring fell off, or some fell off. It's real easy now. All right, brother, long way to go. Hang in there now. Yeah, think about it though. How do you think it feels letting off at the end of the straightaway, not knowing if it's going to stop? Don't even think about fixing it though. Just I'll figure it out.
And they're just trying to keep David Cobb inside that race car and charging into the corners. But Tim Brewer, you can explain how this happens and why it should be such a concern.
Yeah, it's a big concern, Mikey, because what happened there is one of these springs came off. Now, this is a very, very firm spring. When you back off the gas, the first thing you want to happen is that thing to shut that engine down. But when one of these springs falls off, it gets real soft. But he does have a bracket on the gas pedal. If the pedal hangs on the floor, he can actually pull it back up with the top of his foot. So it's not going to be a bad situation that he can't control it. Jamie?
Well, Tim, the 20 car of Tony Stewart making his way down a little early here for Tony Stewart. He says it's just a bit tight. Car's been pretty good. You can't see it real clearly, but on the hood of that car, his team surprised him and put a decal representing every win they've had together, all 33 of his Sprint Cup victories, and they do have one inside that cockpit to the right of his steering wheel in case they go to victory lane today. 4 tires and fuel for the 20. Mike?
Kyle Busch really unhappy with his race car, Jamie, saying it's good for about maybe 4 or 5 laps. Then the car just gets real tight. They're going to try to adjust it right now with air pressure. They also make a chassis adjustment, but Kyle really had high hopes coming into this race, thinking they could end the season the way they started it with a victory, but it hasn't gone that way, Jamie.
Well, last pit stop for Denny Hamlin, he just wanted to free it up a bit. He was a bit tight, but the car's coming around as that sun has set. His car's gotten tighter. Pretty happy. 4 tires there for the 11 car. Denny Hamlin looking for his first win here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Doc?
Jeff Gordon been on and off pit road. He's leaving as well. As they come and make this cycle through a stop. There's a 31 car, top of your screen coming down. Jeff Burton coming at you, as is Gordon. 44 car. Rudeman also on pit road. Kevin Harvick is in.
He was needing some help on this race car. He was extremely loose, so I'm sure they made some air pressure adjustments here. See if they can get Kevin a little bit more grip.
Yeah, he had lost a couple of spots, couldn't get the car to be able to grip off the racetrack and get in the throttle. Here's Jimmy Johnson side by side with Elliott Sadler coming down.
See, everybody on pit road, once they start pitting, you need to get in on pit road so you don't lose any time, because tires are worth so much when you come back out on the track.
And finally, here comes our leader, Carl Edwards, off the racetrack to make his next green flag stop.
See, all the black marks, the car's trying to slow down to get to this commitment line.
And they're locking them up. There's no doubt they're
guys dropping down here.
Carl did a nice job getting his car on pit road there.
Long way down at 45 miles an hour. Hard to be patient for these guys, but there's Bob Osborne waiting on his driver to get there.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop on the sign for me.
under 14 seconds. Not how you do it down there. Got him in and clean, and just had to get a nice, clean, simple, and uncomplicated stop.
You could hear Carl revving up the engine. He was getting ready to go. He knew that the guys had a good pit stop going.
He maintained the lead through that because he was one of the last cars to make a pit stop. You see Greg Biffle now pulling right up behind Carl Edwards, and he had lost some ground to Carl, but Greg Biffle made his pit stop just a little bit sooner. He was able to run just a few laps with better tires.
70 car went out in the grass trying to get on the pit road a moment ago. Tony Raines. He will make it down to get his stop.
You see the grass fall out of the grill right there when he stopped. The team needs to get that cleaned off real well, or he'll have a problem with that car running hot later.
Talk about how tricky it is and how much momentum you carry. There he is, completely almost going back on the racetrack.
And that can pack that grill completely full of debris. And a lot of it did fall off when he stopped, but there's probably a lot still left up in there.
84, Brian Vickers, too fast on entry, and he has served a pass-through penalty. And Carl Edwards moving in on the 22 car there. That is Dave Blaney, who plans to run full-time next year with Bill Davis. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Next Sunday, you have never seen an American Music Awards lineup bigger than this. Beyonce, Kanye West, Rihanna, Coldplay, Alicia Keys, and many more with performances. And the winners are all decided by you. Jimmy Kimmel hosts the 2008 American Music Awards Sunday, November 23rd at 8, 7 Central on ABC. As we approach the midway point of today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season finale, there are the two drivers who could take home the championship today. Happenings with either of them. Well, for Carl Edwards on the right, he's about to lock up the bonus points for leading the most laps in this race.
Well, they give him a list, and he's going to work on it, isn't he? Take the lead the most laps, win the race, and that's what he's doing.
And as for Jimmy Johnson, started 30th. You see he's running 9th.
Yeah, well, I kind of thought Jimmy Johnson would end up about there today, and he has done a great job of getting that car up into the top 10. He's been very solid, but I'll tell you what, Carl Edwards is doing everything within his powers to win that championship.
Guys, right now, Carl Edwards just dominating this race. Like you said, about to lock up the lead, the most laps and everything. And one thing I must add right now, hey, this thing isn't over because nobody's fell out of this race yet. If Johnson has a problem, blows a motor, he can lose his championship. So still got to drive careful, still got to hit his marks.
A little race going on here between Denny Hamlin in the 11 and Tony Stewart in the 20. Joe Gibbs Racing teammates for third spot. Got to be impressed with the drive of Tony Stewart on this day after what has been a somewhat disappointing season, and certainly a season filled with a lot of news, Doc. Wouldn't it be something, I know I said this earlier, but wouldn't it be something to see him win just once more with Coach Gibbs and company?
Alan, it would be so emotional for Tony, and he talked this week when the media talked to him about, not only did Joe Gibbs teach him about how to build a great race team, he taught him about how to take care of people and treat people the way you want to be treated, which is a lesson he's going to take to his own team in 2009, the Stewart-Haas Motorsports effort.
Yeah, I'd have to say, Tony learned lessons just like I did when I had my time at Joe Gibbs Racing. There's a lot more to be gained there than just becoming a good race driver, getting in good cars. Tony was already that, but valuable life lessons that you can learn from that Gibbs family.
His teammate, the 18 car of Kyle Busch. Mike.
And Doc, we talked about how Kyle Busch was real unhappy with the handling. Well, this may be the reason why. This is the right rear tire they took off the car. It has 2 small puncture marks, and it's a very slow leak. I'll give you an illustration. There's the air coming out of it. You can see it's blowing up on this piece of paper right here. It's got that much pressure, and the air is still coming out of it. Caution on the racetrack for debris.
Second caution flag of the day, turn 2, debris on the racetrack, and here on lap 140, NASCAR will wave the yellow flag again.
This will give these guys another opportunity to work on these cars. The track has cooled down quite a bit now. The sun has pretty much gone down here, so they can make some adjustments and see if anybody's going to have anything for Carl Edwards here today.
They can also make some adjustments right here, anticipating this cooler racetrack, what's going to happen. So this is actually a pretty good time for these guys.
There's Edwards, the leader. The car that really had struggled among the leaders in this little short run was the 44 car of David Rudiman. He had actually lost a couple of positions in the last 2 laps to Harvick and McMurray. So we'll see if he tries to get an adjustment on his 44 car. Edwards the leader, Reagan in second spot, David Reagan, Hamlin in third. And Reagan Hamlin and Tony Stewart, second, third, and fourth, were all running right together on the racetrack.
They better watch that 11 car, Denny Hamlin. He's been on the march all day long. Got himself up in third spot now.
So that'd be another opportunity for some strategy because they've only run about 10 laps.
Yeah, see, Bill Elliott was right behind Carl Edwards there. He will get the free pass to be back on the lead lap. Got to give us 21 cars on the lead lap.
Afraid to get too tired, man, and get back in traffic. There's a lot of racing left, too. We can do the same thing and do 4, but I bet you with only 10 laps, there's going to be a ton of guys that do 2.
Dave?
The 6-car David Reagan just a little bit free. Thought maybe they should leave the car alone. Let's see if they take 2 or 4. They're going to go around to the left side as well for 4. Jimmy Johnson will take 4 tires. Just a slight air pressure adjustment. Really no balance change to the car, although he thought that set of tires might have been just a little bit off compared to the one before. Mike?
As you just heard the radio communication between Bob Osborne and Carl Edwards, there was some contemplation as to whether or not they should do 2 or 4 tires. It looks like they'll do right sides only in a way.
Edwards able to get off right with Hamlin right on his deck. There's the 18 coming out. 44 finally does get off on pit road. Jamie McMurray up 4 positions. Truex up 9 spots. Got to believe that was 2 tires on the 1 car. The 88 car struggled, lost several positions on pit road. We'll update Dale Earnhardt Jr. situation when we come back in just a moment. Under caution at Homestead Miami Speedway, 21 cars on the lead lap, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now is the last car on the lead lap in 21st position because of troubles a moment ago on pit road.
We're going to get 2 tires, and as soon as the jack drops, he stalls the car, and then the crew is trying to push him to get it started, and he can't steer it. When the car's not running, the power steering pump is not turning, and he had to try to pull around the 83 car that was in front.
Yeah, a lot of times these things are hot. They're a lot harder to get cranked too. So a lot happening right there. They decided to come back in and get the left side tires after that. So that's why he's back at the very back.
Let's listen in.
Sorry. Look at the left front fender. Tell that boy, sorry, I didn't have any power steer. Trying to crank my car and turn it at the same time.
And Junior continued talking to his team. He said, hey, guys, I'm not placing blame on anybody. Basically, he wasn't ready for a 2-tire stop. He said it threw off his rhythm. He said, you guys just have to let me know because I have my whole thing in my head that I go through shifting to exit the pits. I'm sure, DJ, you know all about that.
Yeah, if you're not ready, you could see that he didn't have the RPMs up, and so he really wasn't thinking about being ready to go at that particular time. He was waiting for him to come, and they hollered to go for him to go, and so he didn't get the RPMs up and stalled it. Something that's happened to all of us at some point in time. He's got a good race car, so it'll be interesting to watch him try to go back up through the pack.
NASCAR out brushing the racetrack off, trying to get any debris off the track. And here is the 7 car of Robbie Gordon. We told you how valuable the owner's points are. 1 point, that's the margin right there. 34th and 35th. You want to be in the top 35, and Robbie Gordon, you see where he's got that margin right now on the 84 car.
Yeah, Robbie Gordon's looking pretty good, but looks like Ambrose is finding himself on the outside looking in, and he's not running well. He's sitting there in 41st spot. Needs to gain a little bit.
Yeah, and Brian Vickers had that 84 car in a good position until he got the speeding on pit road during that last green flag run, and so that got him a lap down.
It's 1 position, by the way, between 34th and 35th. 71 points right now for Robbie trying to hold on. Here's our 2 championship contenders, and the mission today for Carl Edwards was to lead a lap and then lead the most laps. He has done both of those. He'd like to win the race and then put all the pressure on Jimmy Johnson to try to have to finish in the top 36. Now, what Jimmy has done is started back in 30th, moved up to 12th, but now he has to be concerned because they can push and shove and bump and grind on these restarts. Let's watch Jimmy as the pace car pulls away and see how he gets through traffic here on the restart.
That's certainly the most tense time for Jimmy Johnson. We'll say once again, there's still 43 cars out there running.
He gives himself plenty of room on the front car, which is Tony Stewart.
See Denny Hamlin up there with Carl Edwards. He wants to lead this thing.
Carl's only got 2 tires right here. Bobby Labonte's racing him hard for this lap.
Most of these guys right around Carl Edwards have 2 tires also. Saw a lot of that happening there. They only had about 10 laps on the tires.
Denny Hamlin has not led a lap today. In fact, has only led 1 time in the last 5 races. That for 56 laps at Atlanta. And it was Carl Edwards. He was able to pass at Atlanta, but Carl went back by him for the win.
So Carl stretch out, get him about a 4 or 5 car length lead now. This car is just really, really strong. Didn't seem like whether it was daytime or night. I'm not sure what it would be exactly that might stop him here tonight.
Comes a 6 car of David Reagan on the inside groove, and he is being shown in 3rd spot, trying to move underneath a couple of lap cars.
They seemed to be a little indecisive as to what they were going to do on that pit stop, cost them a little bit of time.
Yeah, look here. Look at this, the hornet's nest that Jimmy Johnson finds himself in. You can see why these restarts are just so risky. You got a lot of lap cars. You got lead lap cars. Guys on 2 tires, 4 tires.
The 1 car of Truex in front of him is actually in position in front of him at 11th spot. Johnson back in 12th position. Behind Johnson is Montoya. Battle for 3rd position here. McMurray and Reagan, a couple of Roush Fenway teammates, and McMurray will take it away.
The Roush cars have 3 of the top 4 spots here right now.
Jimmy Johnson, 3 wide, just threading the needle here.
This car has been really, really good on fresh tires, so he took on 4 tires that last time. Those guys aren't taking any chance.
And again, remember, all 43 cars that began this race are still on the racetrack. So if you have an issue, Jimmy Johnson would have an issue. He could actually have a poor finish.
Careful there. Martin Truex was almost thinking about 3 wide, but Martin understands.
We got a big tire rub here on the 2 car. Actually, the left front tire's flat on the car, looks like. Just had some contact with somebody.
Got to back it way down on the top. Let these guys go.
Everybody trying to take some evasive action here. Still can't get the pit road.
Not going to make it.
He's going to have to go around another lap. It's going to cost him a lot of time.
Yeah, he missed that access. He's in the wall now. He missed the access road.
Got the right side, guys. Come to pit road here. Caution's out. Caution's out.
And we'll bring out the caution.
Goes ahead and comes down pit road regardless. Right now, he's just got to get it down.
Get everything pulled away.
Here's where all the trouble started. You see all these cars on pit road got all jammed up.
Brian Vickers in the 84 car, the 28 of Quapple. And then that's where it let go, and up across the track he went into the concrete wall.
That was the first time, and then he tried to limp the car around and get to pit road, and then right here's what happens. It goes completely here, and he goes in the wall.
Yeah, he wanted to get to pit road that time, but because of all the cars coming by, he just never could get to the bottom of the racetrack.
See him turn the car right into the wall there just so it doesn't come off and come across traffic.
What a difference a week makes for Kurt Busch, coming off that impressive 2nd place finish at Phoenix last week, and now he's having troubles here with the caution on.
But right now, I think most of the guys are going to stay out. I believe if I'm out there in clean air, I just pitted a few laps ago, I'm going to stay out.
Yeah, I think so too, Ray. There'll be some guys come in for sure, but I think a lot of the leaders will stay out on this one.
It is official now. Carl Edwards has clinched the most laps led in this race for the 5th time this year. And, of course, that means he will get the 10 bonus points for leading the most laps.
If he goes on to win this thing, Jimmy Johnson still has to finish 36. And he's got a good race going so far, but all 43 cars are still running.
And by leading the most laps, Carl can actually finish 3rd if he had to, as far back as he could finish, and still be able to win the championship.
A lot of guys acting like they want to come. Have a couple of takers. Montoya and Martin Truex Jr.
Under caution for the 3rd time tonight here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Carl Edwards, our leader, back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Homestead Miami Speedway working caution for the 3rd time tonight. Coming out on lap 151, the 2 car of Kurt Busch. A couple of contacts with the wall. And they are trying just to make sure the track is nice and clean. Well, tonight on Desperate Housewives, a daughter's marriage proposal is sabotaged by her mother. A nasty rumor could destroy a cookbook empire. and a fiery murder strikes Wisteria Lane. An all-new Desperate Housewives tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 Central on ABC. Possibly some anxious moments coming up now for Jimmie Johnson. Maybe the most anxious restart he has had thus far tonight.
Yeah, it worried me just a little bit because a lot of cars behind Jimmie Johnson came down pit road and got 4 tires. That's going to put him really kind of on defense for a few laps because he's not going to have quite as good of tires. Those guys might be coming on him pretty hard, so he's got to be careful.
Earlier, we asked you our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge question, and we asked you which driver will have the best chance to win their first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship in 2009. Did you pick Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kyle Busch, or Greg Biffle? What do you think, guys?
I'm going to go with Mark Martin.
How about Kyle Busch? He won the most races this year.
I think Martin.
Bingo.
Kyle Busch.
That's how you win these championships. You win them by winning races.
Done a great job this year. 8 victories this year, 10 for Toyota. Got Toyota's first victory in 2008 here in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Okay, the 2 cars getting a series of penalties, and here, if you, I guess he pitted too soon, too fast entering pit road, too fast on exit, and a commitment cone violation. The only thing he didn't do was run over the guy at the stop sign at the end of pit road. So
he pretty well got them all, didn't he? I guess if you're gonna skirt the rules, you might as well skirt them all, huh?
Get them all.
Let's check it on the 48, Dave.
Guys, you talked about Jimmie having to do these restarts. He said at this caution, I am flipping out back here the way these guys are racing me. It's crazy. Now, they thought about pitting during this time. They actually wanted Jimmie to come down pit road, but at the last minute, he stayed out just based on how they were jockeying for position back there. Don't think they're hurt very much for that. Jimmie said, I'd rather be up here anyway, the position he now holds on the track, which is, as we restart, 10th spot, guys.
See what happens. Remember, all those guys with fresh tires all around him. He'll be under attack.
Yeah, the other thing is you got a lot of guys that are lapped down that got tires too, so he's going to be racing a lot of race cars here that have fresher tires than he does.
3 wide in front of him. You see the 20 car, Tony Stewart up there. There goes Menard. Right side of your screen, that's the battle for the lead. Denny Hamlin in the 11 car. Carl Edwards.
Man, we got cars racing all over the place. Look at Jimmie, 3 wide. Trying to go 3 wide.
Squeezing up behind the 44 car of Rudiman. No place to hide, DJ.
I promise you, not there. You can't back out because you have guys that are really fast right behind you. You need to move forward. See a battle for 4th here. Kyle Busch trying to pass David Reagan.
David says, not so fast, my friend. I'm going to drive this thing back on the outside.
Now they're coming up on Bobby Labonte, so he might decide this little battle.
Now Bobby just got passed by Greg Biffle, who Greg now got himself in that position again if we should have a caution to get the free pass.
Bobby Labonte being shown 2 laps down in the 43 car, back in 35th position.
You see there, David Reagan had to give way.
Contact here with Reed Sorensen in the 41 and Paul Menard in the 15 a moment ago. Let's show you a little rubbing here. Montoya there as well.
Whoa. Pretty significant contact.
There is. Yeah, Paul Menard would be lucky if he doesn't have a left rear tire down.
Tony Stewart driving like the Tony of old. He has been really racy today, trying to move in on the 29 car that would be for the 6th position.
Got a really good car. They opted to get 4 tires the last time that they were on pit road, and that lost him a few spots. But I think he's going to be able to make that up here on the racetrack.
Tony won the very first 2 races that NASCAR ran here in the Sprint Cup Series at this racetrack. 3 wide, and Rudiman goes to the outside of the 42 car of Montoya.
There's some guys that have tires from that last caution. Yeah, trying to make the most of it.
You can see Jimmie Johnson on the bottom. He has worked his way up into the 8th spot now. Got in front of this group.
Sun has gone down, and this track has cooled off considerably with this progressive banking. We're seeing a lot more grip and a lot more aggressive driving, Dale.
Well, they've worked on their cars. They got better grip, and they're getting a lot more racy here. Last race of the season.
No need to save it now.
No.
Or no next week.
That's right.
See, the air temp's come down quite a bit. Actually, no, I guess it's gone up. Looks like the air temp has gone up since the race started. Track temp has come down. Whoa, got a little bumping going on.
Montoya had to crack the throttle right there. He was one of those cars that came in and got tires in the 44, having quite the battle here. Casey Mears down on the inside in the 5 car.
More on Ruderman, Mike.
And you mentioned the track temperature, guys. That may be what's helping David Ruderman right now. It wasn't too long ago before the sun set. David described his car as evil loose, but it's tightened up a little bit here since the sun went down. The guy trying to chase him down, meanwhile, that's Juan Pablo Montoya. This race is starting to come to him. They knew coming into this race, long green flag runs are what they need. They said they would not be good on short runs, but they're banking on long green flag runs, and in that case, they will be good. A great side-by-side battle now.
Little fender rubbing again with the 44 and 42. Montoya inching to the high side to take that spot away.
Well, Montoya has those fresh tires. He's wanting to make some time while he can. He's had a pretty good car here all day, but he's got those tires on now. He's worked himself back into the top 10 in the 9th spot, just ahead of David Ruderman.
Montoya, the Ganassi driver. Remember, they made the announcement this week that Earnhardt, Ganassi, Sabates would merge for 2009. Montoya, along with Truex, these guys will be driving Chevrolets next year.
I don't know that Montoya cares what he's driving as long as it runs fast and he can try to win some races.
Back up to 4th position, Kyle Busch. David Reagan behind him in 5th. Reagan told us earlier in the weekend it's a very special weekend for him. He said not only is it a big weekend for Ford, it is the last weekend for us to have AAA sponsorship on the car based in Florida here. He said I'd like to give them a nice little send-off and, by the way, get my very first Sprint Cup victory.
They've been fortunate to have that sponsorship, and he's got a very good sponsor coming on board for the next few years with UPS. And they're excited to have him carrying their colors. He tries to take that 4th spot back away from Kyle Busch.
car. Tony Stewart now trying to go back by the 29 and take that position away from Kevin Harvick. Jamie?
Guys, Tony Stewart, you see on the screen right there, his car was falling off just a bit, but you see he got around Kevin Harvick, and you were talking about the temperatures dropping, and that's working into Tony's hands right now. They're going to make a couple more adjustments on the next stop. Shannon?
Kevin Harvick started this race tight. The car has been loose since the very first pit stop. They have thrown everything at it to try to tighten it up. Made a track bar adjustment, spring rubber, and they still cannot get this car to tighten up. Expect changes coming down on this 29 further in the race.
47 cars had some issue. There he is, the Marcos Ambrose.
That happened coming off of turn 4 there.
All right, ease it to the bottom. Ease it to the bottom there.
This is not what they needed because they were just outside of the top 35 in honors points as they were running.
I'm not sure. I believe it might have been Reed Sorensen that was on the outside and caught Ambrose in the right rear.
Yeah, we're going to have to get this fixed and get back out there.
Marcus planning on running full-time next year, but wanted to be able to have a guaranteed starting spot. Oh, there's exactly what you're talking about, the Sorensen on the 41 car.
Yeah, I don't think Ambrose knew that he was up there. He thought he was high enough on the track that nobody should be on the outside of him there. Turned him right into the wall.
All that happened right in front of Jeff Gordon's 24 car.
We've seen Reed Sorensen be pretty aggressive out there today.
Yeah, he has been. Coming to pit road now, Andy?
Yeah, here we come. Yeah, I definitely want to come in. Looks like, are they faking this thing, or what are they going to do here? Looks like they're coming.
They pitted on lap 142. This is 169 as they come around. Here come the leaders on the pit road.
Yeah, Gordon's staying out.
Greg Biffle finally going to get that lap back, so he might be a factor. He's had a fast race car. He just had to get back there.
We're going to come out probably about 15th, but I think it's still wiser to take 4, don't you?
They're discussing whether to get 4 tires or 2 tires.
That's Chad Knaus, the crew chief for Jimmie Johnson. Dave Burns.
So you know they're going to take 4 tires. They're going to go half up on the track bar for a car that is just a little bit snug through the center. They also know that a lot of those cars that stopped last time would stay out and that they'd lose some track position, but they want to get those fresh tires now. Jamie?
Denny Hamlin opted to take right sides only last up. They want to take 4 this time. Going to make an air pressure adjustment. A little tight in the middle. Loose off for Denny Hamlin, Mike.
Carl Edwards saying he's just a tick free. They're going to make a track bar adjustment going down a quarter round. Also a wedge adjustment, 4 tires, and fuel for the 99 cars. They go to work now on the left side of that car. They're jacking it up and completing their stop.
Rudeman gaining 9 positions. Race off of pit road, and 9 cars still sitting there. Casey King.
Edwards lost a few spots there on pit road.
Under caution for the 4th time. There's the race off. Rudeman, Kenseth, very tight getting off. Back with the green flag here at Homestead in a moment.
ESPN's coverage.
Ellos vienen buscando un
Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We'll pick you up. Sprint. The chase for the Sprint Cup comes to you with NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. Only from Sprint and only on the Now Network. And Subway Restaurants. Subway. Eat fresh.
Getting down into the final miles of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season for 2008 in the finale at the Homestead Miami Speedway. The 2 drivers who could take home the championship trophy now a little bit farther back in the pack than they were a bit ago. Carl Edwards from the lead to 7th. Jimmie Johnson back to 15th as a result of some strategy on the pit stops just seconds ago. Edwards has claimed the bonus points for leading the most laps in this race. If he were to win the race and lead the most laps, Jimmie Johnson needs to finish 36th or better to claim the title. If for some reason Jimmie would finish last in the race, Edwards now, because he has clinched those bonus points for leading the most laps, needs to finish just inside the top 5. 3rd position would be the number for Carl now that he's claimed those extra bonus points. A lot of racing to go. Only 1 of the 43 starters is not on the track. That's Marcos Ambrose in the 47 car, who was involved in the incident that put us under caution just a minute ago. 96 laps on a 1.5 mile track. All kinds of things can happen. Inside the ESPN pit studio, Alan Bestwick, Rusty Wallace, Brad Daugherty, and Ray Evernham. Sum up what you've seen so far from the 2 championship contenders, Rusty.
They're both doing what they got to do, Alan. Both of them are. They're out there running up front. Edwards has just locked up the most laps led. He's dominating. Jimmy's keeping that 48 Chevrolet out of trouble, doing what he's got to do. Hey, this race is far from over, guys.
Yeah, they've both been spot on. But the thing that scares me for Jimmie Johnson is there's still 42 cars in this field. So potentially it could be a disaster if he has a problem still.
That's why if I'm Rick Hendrick, I park the 25 car and leave the 48 car out to lead on the next round of cautions, and it pretty much ends this thing.
Yeah. Now, Ray, one of your old buddies, Jeff Gordon, has just gotten to the lead for the first time in this race as a result of some strategy.
Yeah, buddy. Stayed out. You know, he's only got about 10 laps on his tires. He is Mr. Day-to-Night Racer. Watch out for him because now he's out in clean air and he's had a fast car all night long.
He's really fast.
One of the guys that hasn't won yet this season, Doc. One last chance in these final 95 laps.
Hard to believe that Jeff Gordon has not won in 2008 after what has been a remarkable career. 81 career victories. Charlotte, October of 2007. Last time Jeff Gordon has won. And we'll show you where Carl Edwards and Jimmie Johnson are starting, 6th and 14th. And here again, as you heard just a moment ago, 42 of 43 starters still on the racetrack. That's important for Jimmie Johnson to know because he can still get himself in serious trouble because Carl has already led the most laps.
Another nail-biter restart for him.
Yeah, especially double file restart here. He's back where he started the race almost. This is literally 28th with all the cars on the inside. So same position. Has to be really careful here.
And they jumble up back there and they spread out a little bit too wide.
They say, come on, guys. I'm ready to be 3 wide up here.
Carl Edwards going to the high side there. Trying to move on the outside of David Gilliland's car. And behind the 09 of Sterling Marlin. Now Carl goes in the middle of the racetrack.
You can see he's a little bit loose right there. Denny Hamlin right on his bumper. Denny Hamlin's making him loose by just being up that close. Carl gets a good run off the corner.
See, Jimmie Johnson had moved down to the inside of the track to try to stay out of that 2 and 3 wide lane up high. Now he's going to have to go around the 22 car of Dave Blaney.
He's kind of hung behind Dave Blaney while this outside line's moving. He has to get out of the throttle there because of the 22 car. And there's another car up on the outside of Jimmy. Bill Elliott, yep.
Yeah, and you got Kevin Harvick, who's pretty racy here, has a fast race car. He was looking to the inside of Jimmie Johnson.
Jeff Gordon now has pulled away to almost a full second lead. Kansas in second spot, Rudeman, Boyer, and you see here comes the 99 car of Edwards up to 5th position. Mike.
Well, Doc, as you know, the crew chief sometimes has to be the coach, and Bob Osborne was trying to remind Carl right before the restart that he's in a different situation than he's been in most of the night.
You got the most laps led clinched. Okay, 10-4, that's good to know. We're doing our job, so we're just going to stay focused and keep tuning if it changes, you know. Before you will get through these guys very quickly, so be patient and choose your position wisely. 10-4.
And the point that Bob was trying to hammer home that, remember, the car's going to handle a lot different in traffic than it's handled all night out front.
Jimmie Johnson back in a danger zone a moment ago going in the corner. Kevin Harvick was able to dive under the 48 car and make him 3 wide.
Man, he's been 3 wide. This is about the 4th time since the restart he's been 3 wide. Man, this is scary times for these guys.
So on the right side of the screen there, Denny Hamlin going by, trying to go by Carl Edwards.
There's Jeff Burton has spun out now. He was behind these guys.
Doesn't appear to have any major contact, and it will bring out the caution flag again.
I was underneath him. He got into the car on the outside of him, hung a left on me. I'm coming to you to put tires on.
Gonna have to fix that right front fender a little bit too.
Jeff is coming to pit road right now. He's on the access road, getting ready to hit the pit road here. He should have time. The pace car's already picked up the field. He should have time to make his changes right here.
Under this caution, the 66 car would get the free pass. Scott Riggs. Here's Burton in, who came in 4th in the point standings in the chase. Just 66 behind Biffle in 3rd. So if we can show you what happened to the 31 car.
You could hear him say that he was on the inside. Joe Nemechek just came down a little bit. Not sure he knew that Jeff was there.
Looks like Jeff's car was actually pushing just a little bit too.
Caution's out, caution's out.
Together.
Yeah, just kind of ended up in the same spot. He's going to have some damage on that right front fender, so he'll have to get fixed.
So coming across the racetrack. Well, folks, we've had 1 yellow flag in the first 140 laps, and now the sun's gone down, and everybody's getting racy.
Okay, and here comes Jimmie Johnson down pit road. His car wasn't very good on that restart.
Yeah.
They're going to come down here and get another set of tires and maybe make an adjustment.
Nice and easy here, 4 tires.
That's a nice calm voice from the crew chief. Coming down to you, Dave.
And remember at Atlanta when they did sort of the opposite of what everyone was doing, sort of a cloak and dagger, put 4 tires on at the end of the race and came back to finish 2nd. Not quite the same thing here, but Chad has a plan. 4 tires now. He knows what his pit windows are to get to the end, and he knows when he wants his driver to have the fresh rubber and when he wants him to stay out.
Well, I tell you what, I like what he's doing right here. Chad Knaus and Jimmie Johnson. The driver felt something wrong. They didn't like that set of tires. Chad said, heck with it. Let's play it safe. Get them down. Get 4 tires on it. That's a safe move.
Yeah, with 26 cars on the lead lap, he was already back there. He's going to start a little bit further back, but maybe a little bit cleaner air for him. But there was something they didn't like. I just hope they didn't over-adjust for the car being in traffic, because the car was good in clean air, so maybe I just hope they didn't over-adjust on it. Down to Dave.
And guys, just really quickly, there was nothing about the car that he didn't like. Jimmy had no report in to the crew chief saying that there's something wrong with this race car. That was all about strategy and where Chad wants to put him on the tire and fuel schedule toward the end of this race.
Well, just remember, guys, they don't have to win this race. All they have to do is finish in the top 36 and don't get in trouble. And I think that they just found themselves in a hornet's nest right there. They just came in and got some tires, and now they can kind of let it sort out in front of them and then start making some ground.
Yeah, and it might also allow them, if we're running a little bit longer here, then they won't have a lot of laps on their tires. They could possibly get 2 and gain a lot of track position when the rest of these guys might have to get 4. So a little strategy by Chad here. I think everything's okay.
Able to take a deep breath, Chad Knaus, and maybe get his driver to a 3rd consecutive championship. 88 laps to go, the green flag when we come back.
85 laps to go in the Ford 400 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. A look at our sprint race rundown before we go back racing. Carl Edwards has been the man so far.
Oh, boy, he's locked up all the bonus points. He's dominated. He's led the most laps right now. Got all the bonus points he can get, except for winning a race yet.
And for Jimmie Johnson?
Jimmie Johnson's done everything he's needed to do. He got out of that 30th place starting position, moved up through the field. About 86 laps to go. He's in the perfect position to win that 3rd championship.
And now after getting shuffled back in the pack, perhaps setting themselves up for the next strategy move?
Yeah, I didn't like that set of tires. Made some adjustments to that car. Now he's got 6 or 7 more laps of fuel than everybody else. Feels a little better, and he can take 2 tires if they pit again early.
And as we get set for a restart that'll come with 85 laps to go, Jeff Gordon, whose team used some strategy to get him to the front of the pack, and who charged up from 37th starting spot, is now out in command of this race, looking for what would be his first win of the season. We go upstairs. Dr. Jerry Punch, Dale Jarrett, and Andy Petrie.
How special would this be for Jeff Gordon if he could hold on now in the front of the field? Pace car will lead him around, and as the pace car peels away, we will listen in to our spotters as we go full throttle.
Pace car's down. You ready? All right, you ready?
They're already stacking easy. Easy.
Slow start.
Already stacking.
Green flag.
Green down. Come on, easy.
Inside. Inside. All clear. Inside. Inside. Inside 18. 3 wide barely. Quarter. Still there. 18 inside. Still there. Still there. Clear low. Watch 09 in the middle. You're 3 wide side. Clear. Still 3 wide. Still 3. Now you're 2. Looking out. Clear all around. Both sides. Both sides. Clear low. 1 outside. 1 outside. Clear the 7. Still there. Still there. Clear. 1 outside. Still outside there. 5 83 at your door. Clear. Clear up behind him if you need it. Enter door there now. Enter door. Got the 10 trying to go with him.
Carl Edwards is digging up on the outside. He has been flying up at the top of the racetrack.
He has been flying, and these restarts look like Talladega. They're going 3 and 4 wide. This is incredible racing. All the way through the field.
It is Jeff Gordon, the leader. Kenseth in second. Bowyer, Rudiman. You see Hamlin right there in the 11 car. Has gone by Rudiman, and then Carl Edwards behind the 44.
Yeah, I still think Denny Hamlin's the car these guys are going to have to deal with here tonight. Yeah, he passed Carl Edwards that last little run that we had. Really moving towards the front now.
What a great design for this racetrack, having this multiple angles of banking and grooves everywhere from top to bottom to race on.
This was a computer-generated reconfiguration just before the 2003 season to be able to have 3 or 4 different grooves. Here comes Kenseth.
Kenseth using that high groove. It's got a little more banking. Goes around this 24 car, Jeff Gordon.
You talk about that, Doc, and what was so neat was they came down in the garage area to almost every driver. They came to about 4 different racetracks and came to the drivers and said, look, this is what we're thinking about doing. Give us your input. You know, what would make this a place that the fans would really enjoy coming to watch a race?
There's the 11 car. Hamlin, the 07. He has gone by the 07 of Bowyer. That's 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Now Edwards tries to take the 4th spot away from Clint Bowyer.
You can just see how much this traffic affects the race cars, because Carl Edwards, on these other restarts, could just get out there and fly, get a 2-second lead. Now he's really kind of struggling to keep pace with Denny Hamlin in the 11 car.
Now, Jimmie Johnson hasn't been able to move very much. He was caught on the inside back in traffic. He's being shown back in 17th position. The 16th place car, Greg Biffle, right in front of him. He's trying to work over on the inside.
Yeah, he's still doing what he needs to do, though. He's in position to win the championship. That's what today's all about, is winning the championship.
Got fresh tires, good fuel mileage, not to worry about it here. Making one more quick stop. Could put 2 tires on if he wanted to in that final stop.
All they're trying to do is not wreck and fall out this race. They don't have to do anything strategy-wise. They don't have to worry about 2 tires or fuel. They just need to keep the car running. And that's what I think Chad thought. Let's just get out of this thing, get us some fresh tires on here where we can go forward.
And with that, it goes by the 16 of Greg Biffle, who's had a pretty good comeback today. Jamie.
Yeah, it's been quite a comeback. You know, early on, they got that speeding penalty, had to come back down pit road. Then they had a loose wheel. He finally just got the lucky dog 2 cautions ago. Now he's moving forward, been one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. You know, it's Greg Biffle. He's won here 3 times. He's Mr. Homestead Miami. Let's keep our eye on the 16, guys. Remember, he came in 3rd in points here.
We've seen these guys all day long. A couple of Davids running. David Reagan, David Rudiman. That is for position on the racetrack. 8th spot.
Yeah, both of these guys have had a nice run. Obviously, Rudiman started on the pole, ran up front, and has been up into the top 10 most of the day.
Back up front, the driver who won here a year ago, the last time he has gone to victory lane. It has been a long year for Matt Kenseth. Dave.
And a great comeback after that pit stop where he couldn't see to turn into his pit box. The comeback really came 2 stops ago when they put a 1/16 of an inch shim in that right front bump stop, made a couple of chassis adjustments as well, and Matt called it a brand new race car. Now in that last stop that he came down, he didn't stop this last time, but 2 stops ago, he put just 2 right side tires on. It's a great race car now, according to Matt. Shannon?
Dave, it was lap 154 when Jeff Gordon came down and took 4 tires. That allowed him to stay out when the leaders pitted right around lap 168, got him that track position as Denny Hamlin looks to the inside of Jeff Gordon right now. Jeff Gordon has been pretty consistent with this 24 car. In fact, they haven't made any changes to the car since lap 70. Right now he's saying the only problem he's having is he can't carry a lot of speed into the middle of those turns. He said, we're not as good as we have to be, but we're much better up front.
Hamlin, as you said, Dale Jarrett, really may have one of the best cars here in the final 100 laps, trying to work over the 24 car to take the 2nd spot away. Hamlin has yet to lead a lap today. You see Carl Edwards back behind him. He's got the best view of this battle as he begins to move in now. And Jeff Gordon not willing to give that spot up too easy.
He raced pretty hard out there on the outside. Had a little bit of a groove going.
Yeah, Hamlin really had him cleared there, but Jeff had such a run, and then he would move to the inside to keep Jeff from running into the back of him, basically. So he hasn't been able to make that move, and that's allowed Carl Edwards to catch these 2. Hamlin's been working the bottom side of the racetrack the majority of the time. Even back earlier when we started this race in the sun, that's where Denny was making his passes.
See, right here is where that momentum takes effect. Kind of frustrating for the guy on the bottom.
Extremely frustrating. You know, he was able to catch Jeff Gordon. He knows he has a little bit better car, but he just can't make that pass. And he'll continue to try. Hopefully he'll get just clear enough that he's able to slide up there. He seems to be a little bit better than what Gordon is down in 3 and 4 as you see him come around Jeff Burton. That contact he had, that little spin, has really hurt Burton's car.
Inside of 75 laps to go. Jeff Gordon in 2nd spot. Hamlin now back to 3rd. Edwards 4th. Tony Stewart is moving his car back up to 5th place. Kyle Busch is 6th. David Reagan, Boyer, Harvick, and David Rudiman in the top 10. Jimmy Johnson, who's been chasing history, back in 13th position. He just needs to finish 36th or better. Carl Edwards running 4th has led the most laps, but Jimmy Johnson easing it on his 3rd consecutive title. Caution being waved for the 6th time tonight here in the Ford 400. The 41 car, Reed Sorensen, up across the racetrack. He's already had a couple of contacts with the wall.
You see, he goes up the racetrack and gets into the wall. Not too hard, but enough to probably cause enough damage for this right rear tire to go down.
About a lap and a half later, he went down into turn 1 then. That right rear tire was flat, got into the wall. A lot of debris as he comes down across the racetrack.
Guys, we got 68 laps to go. What do we do strategy-wise? If you're the two championship contenders, the 99 car of Edwards, of course, Jimmie Johnson's already been on pit road here a moment ago. Pretty good call by Chad Knaus.
Well, it's a good call. We kept him out of all that trouble. But right now might be a good opportunity for Jimmy just to stay out and lead a lap and give him a little cushion. But here you see him coming down pit road. He's just staying right on the schedule.
I thought they might just stay out there, period. You know? For the whole time. They're not in a window as far as making it here.
Like we heard Ray say, leading the lap would really put them in a better position of where they have to finish.
Well, the leaders will come on the pit road here with 67 to go. Still have to make one more fuel stop. Dave.
I'll say it again. Jimmy on pit road when Chad wants him on pit road. Not sure what all of his strategy is, but he's going to put him in here again for 4 tires. A little snug in the center of 3 and 4. They will make an air pressure adjustment, add some to the right rear. Matt Kenseth, meanwhile, gives up the lead. He'll take on 4 tires. This time a track bar adjustment. His car was very loose. Mike?
Carl Edwards saying he's just a little bit loose on throttle. They're going to put a roundabout in the left rear, 4 tire change on the 99 car. They'll pull away a tear off so he can see just a little bit better. Completing service on the right side, swinging around to the left side. Their stop is complete. He's away, but gets beat off pit road by the 48.
That's the whoa! They almost had some contact there. The 24-20. That's the 2 tire stop we were talking about for the 48.
That's the other way to lead the race. Beat them off pit road. A little strategy there.
That'll work. We talked about that when they came and got tires last time. That might give them that opportunity as these other guys came and got 4 tires.
This right here is our Allstate good hands move of the race. Chad Knaus gets it for these 2 tires. He actually started it with that 4 tire change a few laps earlier. Allowed him to get 2 tires and get off pit road with the lead.
How smart is that guy able to get his car back out with a 2 tire stop and put him back in front out of harm's way?
You're going to get 5 bonus points in the last race.
That's how you win championships and get a page added to the NASCAR history book. Welcome back to the Ford 400 here. Laps clicking away in the 2008 NASCAR Nationwide NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season. There is Jimmie Johnson. It is official. He has now led laps here tonight. He has led the last 2 laps by virtue of a great call on pit road. Dave.
And we'll check in with Chad Knaus on that call. Chad, we thought you might stay out and lead that lap. Instead, 2 right side tires. Why did you want him on pit road?
Well, we don't want to get too far out of sequence. We just stayed out. We'd have fallen all the way back. We were back up to like 13th, I believe it was, right there. And, man, it's just so hard to pass back there in traffic. This track is great for racing, but it's also bad if you're trying to pass because it's easy to get bogged down from time to time. So being cautious in the back really isn't a lot of fun. So we decided just to try to get 5 bonus points. And, if we get another caution here in 15, 20 laps, we'll be able to take our 4 tires and see where it all shakes up.
You can hear things in his voice. We can't. How's he doing out there?
We're good. We're good. Frustration is high when we deal with some of those guys out there, but it's good. He's having a good time. We're having a good time. Guys are doing a great job in the pits, and it's nice to see that Cobalt Chevrolet up front.
All right, inching closer to that trophy, guys.
It is important to note, though, that Jimmie Johnson now can finish 37th and win the championship. If he were to finish 38th right now, though, and Carl Edwards, who has led the most laps, were to win the race, it would be a tie, and Carl has the tiebreaker by virtue of most wins.
That's a lot of ifs, but this 48 car got the lead right here. We'll see what happens.
And that's where he wants to stay right now and win it going away if he can. Green flag, 64 laps to go.
Oh, Matt Kenseth make a pass on the outside the last time. Let's see if he tries that with Jimmie Johnson. He was able to pass Jeff Gordon and take the lead on that high side. Here comes Carl Edwards.
First time today, Carl Edwards is going to be forced to run down Jimmie Johnson in front of him on the racetrack.
See Jimmy not able to get to the gas quite as much as Matt Kenseth right there. He is able to hold him off. This is the first time Jimmie Johnson been able to breathe on a restart in quite a while today, guys.
Oh, look at Denny Hamlin gets into the back of Carl Edwards. Gets him sideways. Carl Edwards' car is not as good since the sun went down.
Here's Hamlin trying to take the position away, 3rd spot. Carl says not so fast, and up front, the 17 car looked beneath the 48 and couldn't make it stick. Hamlin able to get the momentum now up off the corner and take the position away.
I think there's just a great sequence of calls by Chad Canal, getting his driver out front. Come get the 4 tires. Matt Kenseth looking to the inside, trying to take the lead. We got his driver in a much better position where he's a lot more in control of what's happening.
At some point here, Chad Canals and Jimmie Johnson are going to start thinking about how to win this race. And they don't. Oh, Kurt Busch is in the wall. Again.
We stay green thus far, no caution. He gathers it back up.
That's a big if right now. I don't know if he's going to do it.
Gas here, guys. 4 tires of gas.
And the caution will come out.
Caution's out, Kurt. 1 inside. Clear to the bottom.
Matt Kenseth had passed Jimmie Johnson for the lead. Everything's still on pace for these guys to win the championship.
I don't think these guys will come down pit road this time because they're not in a pit window yet. They're just outside of one, though. You look at 60 laps to go, and some of these guys could actually stretch that. We haven't seen them do it today, but they could.
We've had some long green runs. See Kirk not able to hang on. He had to tire down and got into the wall.
We're working that steering wheel inside, just trying to keep it. And there comes some debris off what's left of that tire.
Yeah, the tire in the inner crush panel. We might see some of these guys come down pit road here.
If you're back towards the back, you might as well try it. We've seen this. It's going to take them a couple of laps to clean all of this up. So you get down there. And
yeah, we can definitely get inside the window. You might see even the leaders come in.
24 cars on the lead lap. The last 2 are Scott Speed and Scott Briggs.
Carl Edwards can stretch it.
31 car. Jeff Burton coming in. You see Harvick and Jeff Gordon coming in. So your 7th and 8th place cars decide to come on the pit road. Kevin Harvick was 7th. Gordon was 8th. There comes the 1 car of Martin Truex Jr. He was being shown in 9th spot.
Now, if this thing goes green, it'll put these guys in a real good position. There again, we keep talking about ifs. Shannon?
Jeff Gordon is going to make a small wedge adjustment and gas and go for this 24 car. They were 5 laps short to make it to the end, so they just wanted a little bit of fuel. And Kevin Harvick just working on that car as well. He's still a little bit loose, so he's going to get a splash of gas, and he's down and away.
45 miles an hour racing down, and Harvick will be able to get the advantage. There comes Casey Mears off. Casey Kane as well. Working caution for the 7th time tonight. You're watching ESPN on ABC. A couple of cars that came on the pit road a moment ago. The 29 of Kevin Harvick, the 24 of Jeff Gordon. Both say they can now make it all the way on fuel.
Looks like Jamie McMurray came down pit road here too to top off. That means he can make it from here.
By the way, the 2 car that came on pit road a moment ago after bringing out the caution flag had too many men over the wall. They now have officially all the penalties that have been handed out today on pit road. Not exactly want to go for the whole rule book there. Almirola in, Michael Waltrip in as well. 25 cars on the lead lap. Matt Kenseth is our leader. Jimmie Johnson being shown in 2nd spot. McMurray coming off those back-to-back top 5 finishes. So again, what should be his final stop. You wonder how teams are able to win 3 consecutive titles. And you see those kind of calls that Chad Knaus made today for Jimmie Johnson. You understand that you've got a lot of smarts on that pit box, and he's able to take Jimmie out of harm's way.
And he's taking in all the scenarios. You know, he's looking at where he is on the racetrack, what they need to do and what they don't need to do. They don't need to wreck, so he's trying to keep Jimmie out of trouble. Pulls him down pit road, gets 4 tires, puts him at the back and lets him stay out of trouble. Then he makes that call to put 2 tires on and get in the lead. I think it's just a brilliant strategy.
It's just invaluable. As a driver sitting in the seat, and you have someone like that on your pit box that you know is keeping up with everything that's going on in this race, man, that gives you so much confidence anytime he says something that you want to do.
Now you know why Jimmie says whatever Chad says I will do, because he understands Chad's going to do what's best for the team and for them. Pace car pulls away, and we're going to try to get to the checkered flag here very soon at Homestead Miami Speedway and see if Jimmie Johnson can indeed write history. Carl Edwards, who has led the most laps, being shown back in 4th position. And Carl has had his hands full here with his car back in traffic on the previous restart.
Yeah, it hasn't been as good as the track has cooled down, plus it hasn't been as good back in traffic.
Kyle Busch digging on the top. Past the cars coming. He's coming on Carl right now.
Kyle Busch able to make a pass on his teammate Tony Stewart, now right on the deck of Carl Edwards as Tony slides up.
As you look back through all that, we have 43 cars on the racetrack again. Marcus Ambrose is back out there. He's 43 laps behind. So Jimmie Johnson and these guys, they still cannot relax because nobody's fallen out of this race. And so they're not being helped in that scenario as far as being able to clinch this championship.
Here's Kyle Busch looking to the inside of the 99 car for position, and Carl holds him off.
It seems when a car gets to the back bumper of Carl, it makes him extremely loose.
And we saw those cars make that pit stop, and we know they can make it. Carl Edwards stayed out on this pit stop, and remember, he went 69 laps at Texas, the same size racetrack as this one. He only has to go 66 laps to make it to the end of this race.
Just watching this and thinking back on Jimmie Johnson's situation, Doc, DJ, and Andy. You know, the last time that 48 car finished lower than 37th in a race was at Charlotte in May. He was leading at lap 346 of 400. At lap 351 of 400, the engine broke in his car. He finished 39th. They may be feeling okay. They're not feeling comfortable.
Don't tell Chad Knaus that right now, Alan. He doesn't want to know that.
I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but you know what I say all the time, Andy.
It ain't over till it's over.
That's right.
And remember, he still has to finish 37th or better because even though he's led some laps, Carl has led the most laps.
Yeah, and the 37th place car right now is only 2 laps down. So there's a lot to be happening here yet in these last 53 laps.
Here's a driver, the 16 of Greg Biffle, that has made one heck of a comeback. The former 3-time Homestead winner. Biffle got a lap down, had a hard time getting back on the lead lap, and has now driven this car back into the top 10.
Nice job by Greg Biffle. He just stayed with it. Stayed patient and persistent at the same time.
And don't forget, this is his racetrack.
That's right.
He won here a ton.
Behind him, the pole sitter, David Rudiman. And Rudiman, by the way, one of the reasons that they wanted to be so aggressive is because they're trying to get full sponsorship for 2009. 44 car will be changing to the 00.
Talk about aggressive. Watch David Reagan right here. Man, he is driving the wheels off this 6 car.
He's going to make it 3 wide right here as they come off of turn 4.
Somebody told him this was the last race of the year.
The 2 car, by the way, Kurt Busch, is now headed back to the garage area, so that puts 42 on the racetrack.
See Denny Hamlin take over that second spot from Jimmie Johnson.
That means that Carl Edwards now will be the next person in line to try to move in on Jimmy and take a spot away. David versus David. Dave.
I was hoping you would go there next, Doc. A third Dave in this. They dropped a lug nut on the previous time they were on pit road. That's what put David so far back in this queue. And so now as he races for that 10th position, he was really much further up except for that mistake on pit road. Mike?
Well, David Rudiman has been pretty much battling this race car all night, but it seems to be much better since the sun went down. His most recent comment was to his guys saying, hey, it's come around. We're really a lot better in the center than we were before, and it's helped searching around. That's what he's been doing. He's been looking for different lines. It seems like he has found the line, easy for me to say, that he really likes right now.
How about this line that Dale Jr.'s running? That top side of the racetrack, that's just where he lives. Making up some ground. Look here. Got to run.
And you know, Tony Jr. told you before the race started when you were talking with him, he thought that to win this race, they had to be on the bottom of the racetrack when the sun went down.
You got to take that with a grain of salt because Jr. really likes this high line. And if it works, it works. But you see Kevin Harvick now working the bottom of the racetrack. And he's getting past.
Yeah, right now Junior's going where that momentum is and where the other cars aren't. And that's the best way to make passes.
Earnhardt Jr. is 12th. Harvick is 13th. And now Harvick pulls all the way down to the inside of the track and will try to go by the 88 car.
See, Harvick makes a lot of ground through the corner. Give it up on the straightaway when you're on that low line.
Carl Edwards now reeling in, ever so slowly, the 48 car of Jimmie Johnson for third position. Carl said if it was just that easy for a championship. It is for position on the racetrack.
Yeah, and I've been watching Carl's lap times, and you know when he pulled the deal at Texas that he really backed his lap times way down, and he's not doing that right here. So hard to imagine that they're looking at a fuel deal that they could make it from this point.
They're probably not playing that strategy right now. We caught them cutting the car off on caution flag, trying to save fuel, just in case they were forced into that situation. But we know they went 69 laps at Texas.
Here's our leader, Matt Kenseth, who has now led 4 times for 41 laps. There's the separation between Kenseth and Hamlin. 2.1 seconds back to Denny Hamlin, then Johnson, Edwards, and Tony Stewart in the top 5. Back after this message and a word from our ABC station.
The Ring of Fire.
41 laps remaining in the Ford 400 at Homestead Miami Speedway. Matt Kenseth trying to make it 5 in a row for Roush Fenway here in the season finale.
You see right there, Jimmy Johnson has caught that 11 car again. He's jumped up to the top side of the racetrack. He's been running Denny Hamlin down.
Got a little company there with Carl Edwards, who's also run him down, but all Jimmy Johnson's got to do is finish in the top 37, and he becomes the champ. 2 car is now officially retired. We mentioned he had gone back to the garage area, so Kurt Busch is out of the race. Only 42 left on the racetrack.
And Jimmy Johnson just moves over and lets Carl Edwards have that spot.
More on Carl. Mike.
Well, you guys were wondering a little while ago whether or not the 99 car could stretch their fuel mileage. Well, they've begun talking about it. I shouldn't say they've begun talking about it. They've been talking about it for quite some time. And about 15 laps ago, they didn't think they could make it. But Bob Osborne just came over the radio and said, well, on second thought, with 25 laps to go, I want you to start conserving fuel. They may have an outside shot.
Well, like I said, Mike, they went 69 laps at Texas. To do it here, they only have to go 66, and the tracks are the same size.
Yeah. If you don't get what you want, you get another calculator and figure that and get somebody else to figure it and see what they come up with. We do know of a couple cars with Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon can certainly make it. Jamie McMurray came in and topped off, so there are guys back there that definitely can.
So if it goes green, Carl Edwards knows that he has to try it. That's the only shot he has. He has to try to win.
Only chance.
Carl Edwards is not a guy that's going to quit. In fact, when you ask Carl Edwards about this championship, he'll tell you one thing: it's not over.
Well, regardless of what happens with the championship, we have given it our best and we've performed very well. I'm not going to speculate on what it would be like to not win it because it's not over. You know, a lot can happen, and I think that after the race at Homestead, no matter what happens there, I'll have probably a better perspective then.
Carl knows what you at home know. There's still 42 cars on the racetrack. And, of course, Jimmy Johnson's going to finish 37th or better. There comes the Joe Gibbs teammates, 20 and 11. More on Denny Hamlin. Jamie.
He's certainly been one of the fastest race cars all night long, Doc. He worked his way, got track position, got up. He's led some laps. He's running second. You see his teammate Tony Stewart giving him a run for the money on the inside. But the 11 car, last we were told they're going to be 8 laps short. You know, this race is winding down, so we have to keep our eyes on these front runners to see if they will need to pit.
Stewart goes flying by Denny Hamlin down into turn 3. I think he has his sights set on winning this race or getting to the front before he has to get fuel.
If you know you can't make it, there's no reason to stroke it. Just let it hang out. See if you can get to the lead. At least if you don't win, you can say, hey, we had them.
I bet Ray Erwin sitting down there in pit studio saying his information from past history probably tells him there's going to be another caution before this race is over. How about it, Ray?
What's it say, Ray?
Well, DJ, my caution history's not been doing real good today on the number of cautions and whatnot, but it does say there is a very good chance that there is going to be a caution in the last 20 laps. And I will tell you that Carl Edwards cannot back off like he did at Texas because Harvick and Gordon and McMurray and those guys did pit, and they'll be coming. So he's going to have a caution if he's going to want to win this race.
Yeah, he's not going to have that little cushion he had at Texas where he could run half throttle for 12 or 14 laps. Those other guys are going to keep him honest. So he's still running full throttle down the straightaways.
Jimmy Johnson just trying to find a very safe and secure place on this racetrack here for the final 33 laps. If he can stay there, Jimmy Johnson will have his own page in the NASCAR history books.
Matt Kenseth leading the Ford 400, now 29 laps left in this race and in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season for 2008. Kenseth up on Tony Stewart by 1.2 seconds, though that gap is shrinking considerably. That orange car charging quickly toward the race leader. Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson, the would-be champion, has settled in fifth in line, trying to keep some clear racetrack ahead to avoid trouble. It's a couple of calls to pit road that have made the difference in this one.
Yeah, Chad made a good call bringing the 48 car in, getting it out of position, putting 4 tires on it. A few laps after that, he brought it in, put 2 tires on it, got the thing out in the lead.
This our Sprint Cup monster moment.
Absolutely. Came in and got the 2 tires, got him out front, picked up 12 positions to get him out front. Look at Chad leaning on that box end. Go get him, Tiger.
For more monster moments, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. So let me update you on the clinch scenario now. Jimmy can no longer finish any worse in this race than 41st because Marcos Ambrose is 45 laps down. There's only 28 laps to go. Jimmy's on the lead lap still. He can't finish, even if he dropped out right now, any lower than 41st. That means Carl Edwards must win the race if something were to happen to Jimmy to have a shot at the championship, to take the title. There you go.
Well, it can happen. It's probably not going to happen, but man, you got to hand it to these guys the way they're driving. I mean, Carl Edwards is flying out there. It looks like Matt Kenseth might win this race this week. He hasn't won all year long. That'd be good for the sport. Never know. Let's see what happens.
Jimmy getting closer to history. 3rd consecutive championship. Let's check down with Dave.
Now, Chad told his driver to save a little fuel, but that he would have to stop again. And I asked this intelligent crew chief this morning what he would remember if they take home the Sprint Cup tonight. He said, overcoming from where we started, a comeback. I said, a comeback? He said, don't forget, we finished 27th at the Daytona 500. We were 13th by the 5th race, and only then did we start winning. 7 wins after that, 3 in the chase. Imagine, guys, calling this year for the 48 a comeback.
Yeah. Everybody's got their perspective on it. Let's not forget also, Chad Knaus can become tonight the first crew chief in the history of NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing to win 3 consecutive championships. 26 laps away. Doc, we're going to have us a race for the lead in this thing, too.
Indeed we are, and the big question is Tony Stewart going to have enough fuel to make it? And Tony, then the right side of your screen, moving in now on Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, he's moving in, but he looks in his mirror. Just a little bit further back right there, you're going to see Carl Edwards coming.
There comes Carl, and as you heard Alan say, Carl knows now that he has to win the race and hope that something happens to Jimmy Johnson. That's the only shot he has to win this championship.
And even if he doesn't win it, he can say, and the whole team can say, we've done all we can do. We've heard that before.
Remember when Tony Stewart was running down Kevin Harvick a couple of years ago in the Brickyard 400, and what did he do? He ran him down and won the race.
Well, he's there again now on Matt Kenseth. That's a good feeling as a race car driver to see that car coming back towards you.
Yeah, that's a great feeling. Yeah, I had that feeling sometimes. I don't know that I ever.
Did you ever say anything like that?
I don't think I got quite that confident, but Smoke is, and there he comes to the outside.
Tony Stewart's final ride after 10 years as part of the Joe Gibbs Racing family. 23 laps to go. Can Tony give him one parting gift and take Joe Gibbs and JD and the whole team to victory lane here in his final race?
Drive it away, baby. Come on.
And don't forget now, these guys have to make another pit stop.
Yeah, and these fans are standing up cheering. They like to see Smoke out front.
He has now moved into the top 10 in the point standings. Remember, the top 10 go on the stage, and here's the 88 car on the pit road.
Going to go ahead and make his pit stop now. See if he can make up some ground on new tires.
Look at what's wrong.
Sounds like he's got a little bit of a problem,
Can't drive it.
He can't drive it. He may have had a tire going down.
Anything broke?
Let's see what these guys do. I don't think we're going to see many 4-tire stops, but it looks like they're prepared to put 4 tires on.
Yeah, they're going to have to change 4 because they think they have a flat tire. The only way to make sure you get it is to change all 4. The worst thing you can do is change 2 and it not be the right 2.
I go.
Pole sitter David Rudiman coming down for what should be his final stop.
Yeah, and I hope he got slowed down enough. He was awful fast as he got to that commitment line.
Tony Stewart, left side of your screen, last pitted on lap 201, 46 laps ago. Mike.
And David Rudiman couldn't go the distance. He'll come down for fuel and 2 tires, right sides only. That's all we expect. They're off to Jackson away.
Splash of fuel there for Rudiman. He will try to get this car back, and so others will have to pit, or they think they may have to pit, including this guy. What do you think?
Yeah, well, they say they can't make it. I'm not sure that Tony can make it. A lot of guys have to pit.
Let's listen to Jimmy Johnson's radio.
Yeah, Jimmy, we got a bunch of guys starting to go into fuel conservation mode. We're not in any position to take that, so we're going to have to pitch you here. Not a worry.
Yeah, they're not too worried about that. They don't have to do anything but just keep this car running, take this championship home.
88's coming back on pit road.
After the 4-tire change, they thought they had a tire going down. Obviously, didn't.
In left front.
Yeah, something wrong. I don't know exactly what it is.
You could hear Junior talk before the first time they came in that he thought something was wrong with the car.
They're going to check some suspension parts here and see what's wrong.
This is just kind of how their year has gone. With a strong car a lot of different times and unfortunately not able to finish it off. Greg Biffle hitting pit road.
Final stop for Biffle after coming from a lap down to run now in the top 10.
Caliper is broke.
Just heard on the radio said he had a caliper broke, the brake caliper. Jamie?
Greg Biffle started 23rd. His car's come around, guys. We talked about his charge through the field. Once he got that lucky dog, he has moved up. So we'll see if the splash and go there. Right side's only for the 16.
Nice quick right side stop. Biffle's back out.
The question is, how far can this guy go? Tony Stewart. 88 is now being pushed behind the wall. Earnhardt Jr. after those back-to-back pit stops and now the broken caliper.
And Tony leading. He has won a race this year back at Talladega, but he's also had a couple of situations where fuel mileage and rain, different things, kept him from winning other races. Here's our 6th place car, Montoya, coming on to pit road.
He said he would get a top 5 finish. He's been running in the top 10 most of the last 100 laps.
They've really run well this last month of the season.
Mike?
And another guy who can't make it. Right side's only for Montoya, and a splash of fuel. They're done and away.
The right side tire changer just barely cleared that car. Montoya was on his way pretty quick.
He was ready to get back out into the action.
Well, the top 8 cars on the racetrack all pitted at the same time on lap 201. So Stewart, Kenseth, Edwards, Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, of course, Kyle Busch, Clint Bowyer, David Reagan. These guys trying to make it the final 15 laps.
We know these 2 cars can make it. Jeff Gordon and Kevin Harvick. They made that pit stop. Shannon?
That's right. They came down on lap 208. Right now, Jeff Gordon's crew chief, Steve Letarte, letting him know that Kevin Harvick in that 29 is the one that he is potentially going to have to beat for a win. Both of those guys are good to go to the very end of this race.
Kevin Harvick is about 3 seconds in front. Here comes our points leader, Jimmy Johnson, to pit road.
One beat should be his final stop of the season here to come and top this car off.
Yeah, he needs to just make sure that he doesn't speed, gets the pit road. Dave?
Taking no chances. They come down pit road now. Everyone trying to do their job smoothly and slowly and in a controlled way, including getting that Canis Sunoco racing fuel in the car. They won't need much to make it to the end here now. They take on those 2 fresh tires while they're fueling, and now he leads. Pretty smooth, guys.
Nice quick stop. make sure he's got enough fuel in that thing to do the burnouts when it's over.
Yeah, that should be everything done that they needed to do. Even if we should have a green-white checker, they should be okay there and get them to that 3rd championship.
Looking back at Tony Stewart, our leader from the 31 car of Jeff Burton, who's being shown 8 laps out in 41st position.
Okay, here comes Tony. Man, he made a nice charge to the pit road.
Let's go down to Jamie Little.
Guys, Denny Hamlin in for his last stop of the night. Remember, he finished 3rd 2 times the last 2 years in a row. Right side stop for him. He's down and away. Tony Stewart, his teammate, is on his way in as well, guys.
Stewart at 45 miles an hour, his final pit stop. And he is about halfway to his stall, which is almost all the way down into the turn 1 part of pit road.
Andy, some of these guys waiting a little longer. We're going to see somebody just get fuel?
That's what I'm thinking we might see right here. Yes, sir. That's what they're going to get, just fuel and back out.
Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3, go, 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 all you can, all you can, all you can.
Take it from that, he needed 3 seconds of fuel.
Here comes a 17 car.
At the start of the last run, crew chief Chip Boland told his driver, we are in severe conservation mode, just like Darlington. On that night, they were having a horrible night. They parlayed an extra 7 laps into their final run and finished 6th. They pulled one out of the hat that night. They may go for it here.
It's 10 laps to go, but he's got Carl Edwards bearing down on him, and I think he's on the same strategy.
They both pitted on exactly the same lap. Kenseth, Edwards, Reagan, Boyer, Kyle Busch. Those top 5 cars all now have gone 56 laps. Kevin Harvick, who can make it, now being shown in 6th position.
And somebody that I'm seeing really slowing their lap times down is Clint Boyer. I don't know if he can try to stretch this.
We will not make it.
Okay, that was Bob Osborne talking to Carl Edwards. And now we have to slow down. And this is what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. These 2 cars here trying to race and conserve fuel. Mike?
Remember, Andy, earlier in the race, Bob Osborne told Carl Edwards we want to go into fuel conservation mode with 25 laps to go. Well, when 25 laps to go came around, Carl said, hey, give me 5 more laps to go hard. I think I can get the lead. Well, that 5 extra laps may have cost him. They're extremely close right now. Bob's telling him he needs to run 34.30s. He has to back it down. His last lap, 34.28.
That's pretty close, but here they've got a big lead on their teammate. They've got a 13-second lead. They can both slow down if they can work together.
Let's talk to Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jamie.
Well, guys, he is out of the race. Now, what happened, Junior?
I think we burned the wheel bearing up in the right front, and the rotor's moving around and ended up breaking the brake caliper. So we couldn't, I didn't have any vibrations, so I'm just surprised because rotor burns up, it burns up, shakes the car pretty bad. I want to thank everybody at Hendrick for working hard all year long. Congratulations to everything they've had this year as far as success. And I was happy to be a part of the team, and wish we could have finished tonight, but it's a pleasure being there. I can't wait to next year.
Began the year with the win in the shootout at Daytona and got excitement about what's going to happen in 2009. But up front here, what's going to happen here in the final 7 laps?
Okay, we're watching this telemetry right here. You can see Carl not even hardly on the throttle. Look how little throttle he's using down the straightaway. These guys are trying to race each other and save fuel. Now this is going to get exciting down to the end.
Jimmy Johnson being shown back in 20th position. More on the 17, Dave.
Chip Boland also told me this morning on gas-saving mileage, he said, we cannot get 99 mileage. We're not that good. So while there may not be team orders for Matt to move over and Carl to move by, if Carl gets better fuel mileage, he might beat Matt by having to slow down less.
We can see Carl is saving a ton of fuel now. He is really easy on that throttle. Hard is it to race somebody and not be able to match that throttle down?
The patience that you have to have with something like this. I can remember one time at Pocono racing Jeff Gordon. We were right together. We were both doing the same thing. I wanted so bad to be in front, so I was running second. So you just have to wait till right then. I passed him with like coming to get the white flag. That might be exactly what Carl's going to wait and try to do here.
The question is, how long do you wait before you hammer it on that final lap and be able to hope you have enough to be able to catch him and pass him?
That's just a chance he's going to have to take when he gets down here.
So he goes full throttle right here.
Four to go now. 4 to go. 39. He's thinking 2/10 less mileage than us all day, but if he can't make it, we'll make it. If he can't, we're good.
Whatever all that meant.
Yeah, I don't. He didn't know either.
Run out first.
It's really who runs out of fuel first.
What he's trying to tell Carl is the 17 should run out before they do.
So the thing is, don't let him make you run out. Don't try to race him and run your car out of fuel.
Well,
here you go. Okay, Matt Kenseth is letting him go. He may be out of fuel. 17 is probably out of fuel right here. Okay, the next spot is 14 seconds back. So now Carl Edwards can go half throttle or even less and try to stretch these next 3 laps.
Kenseth is trying to coast around and just have the car running.
It looks like Carl's out. Well, maybe not. He might just be backpedaling here. No, he might make it.
Hey, you got 14-second lead.
He's
2 laps when you come around.
He's got 14 seconds, so he just barely. See, he's just barely on the throttle right now.
A 40-second lap right here could get him done.
It's still running fine.
Watch it. He'll get out of the gas and just coast.
Here's the 6 car, David Ragan now moving in. Ragan back in 3rd position.
Only 2 laps to go. Less than that now for Carl Edwards.
Here's the 18 of Kyle Busch going by Ragan for position. Now Kyle takes 3rd away.
Second lead if I keep slowing down.
Okay, it's hard to tell whether he's out of fuel or just how slow he's running. Yeah. He's still running.
Tell me how big my lead is now. 13 seconds, bud. 13-second lead.
Okay, it's a white flag here,
guys.
guys.
What am I looking for, Bob? 6 car.
Okay, now the 29 car is in 2nd place, and he is another 13 seconds back. All Carl has to do is just make sure this thing will come around to the finish.
10-second lead now, bud.
Final lap for Carl Edwards, who has led the most laps, trying to coast home with yet another win in 2008.
He's going to make it, guys.
Off of turn
Here
4.
he comes.
Out of turn 4.
Great job. It's running out right now. We're out again.
Carl Edwards gets his 9th win of the year, and Jimmie Johnson makes history as a 3-time consecutive NASCAR Sprint Cup champion.
Yeah, baby.
These are 2 great teams executing their plan perfectly.
Man, that's just unbelievable.
Yep, great job. And 8th Sprint Cup champion, repeat, baby. Ah! Woo! Way to go, guys! Damn, that's awesome. I'm proud of you guys. Awesome year, boys.
And now Chad Knaus can take a breath.
What a great season Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus have had.
Jimmie, only the 2nd driver in the 60-year history of this sport to do it. Chad Knaus, the very first ever crew chief to win 3 consecutive titles.
These guys are truly incredible.
Jimmie came home in the 15th spot there. That matches their worst finish in the chase of the 10 races. That's all it was about today.
Yeah, Jimmie Johnson stopped for fuel, so he'll have enough for a burnout. Carl Edwards is just going to be able to do his backflip.
Yeah, and what a great champion Jimmie Johnson is for our sport, too.
Here comes Carl.
What a year.
What a run he made at Jimmie Johnson. Here comes Jimmie up behind him.
A great fight all the way to the end.
Yeah, a lot of respect between these 2 great race drivers.
They are fierce competitors on the racetrack, but they respect each other's abilities off. Well, let's go down and visit with Bob Osborne, the winning crew chief.
Well, Carl Edwards wins on speed and fuel mileage. Matt Kenseth, your teammate, couldn't make it. How did you guys do it again, Bob?
Well, Carl just does a great job with the controls in that car. He always gets better gas mileage than all of our teammates, and this week he did it again for us.
Unprecedented 9th win of the year, more than anybody else. Can you sum up this season for you?
There's carrying the checkered flag for the 9th time. That's great. Top 5s, top 10s. Disappointment that we didn't get the championship this year, but my hat's off to that 48 program. Chad Knaus, Jimmie Johnson, the rest of those boys, they did a great job. But, highs and lows, just like everything else in life.
You guys did everything you needed to do tonight. Congratulations on another win. Dave Burns?
Chad Knaus now. And Chad, you told me this morning you would think of this year as a comeback. Are you willing to talk about three-peat now?
Man, that's awesome. Just absolutely awesome. I mean, this team's just great. You know, Jimmy's a fantastic driver. Mr. Hendrick's just a great person to work for. All 500 people we've got at Hendrick Motorsports, from the engine shop to the chassis shop, aviation, you know, travel, everybody. I mean, just do such an incredible job and put all their hearts and souls into what we do to try to make these race cars go fast. And, you know, my guys just do a fantastic job on the race car. And, you know, we had to change some stuff on the race car this morning just as precautionary measures. We didn't want to have any mechanical problems. And, you know, I never doubted their ability one time. And it's nice to have a group of guys that work with you, that you have that kind of trust that you can change whatever you want on the race car and you know it's going to last all day long. So it's awesome.
Chad, you know how hard it is to win one race and to win one championship. Can you put in perspective taking 3 in a row?
I have no idea, man. I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, these guys just do everything. You know, Steve Letarte, he's one of the best teammates out there. I mean, he is awesome. He is awesome. I mean, it'll hit me tomorrow morning, probably with a heck of a headache too, but tomorrow morning's going to be nice. It's you know, I just got to sit back and let it all soak in. It's what we work for. This is what we do. You know, we don't want to do anything but race cars and win races and win championships, and I'm just real lucky to be able to do that.
He's learned a lot from the people at Hendrick Motorsports. Son of a mechanic and a racer himself, he's now a 3-time championship crew chief. Guys,
congratulations to Team Lowe's driver Jimmie Johnson, winner of the 2008 Sprint Cup Championship from Lowe's. What a championship battle. Carl Edwards congratulating the new champion. The Ford 400 at Homestead Miami Speedway is history, and Carl Edwards has won for the 9th time this year.
And the victory will certainly make it a little easier to swallow that he was the runner-up in the championship. I see you've got your Courage necklace on. It seemed to have brought you a little bit of luck there. How close was the fuel and how anxious were the moments?
It's out. It's out. We needed a push right up here, so got to thank Dalton for the necklace. I know we didn't win this championship, but we won the most races this season, and it's because these guys and everybody did such a great job. Got to thank everybody at home, everybody in Columbia, Missouri, all my fans for putting up with me through thick and thin, even when I get a little crazy. And Office Depot, this is our last race with Office Depot. Really excited about Aflac's partnership next year, but Office Depot's been wonderful to be with. I'll always buy my office supply products there. And Ford, what can I say? We got a Ford hybrid out there, the 2010 Hybrid Fusion. We got the best fuel mileage in the place with our Ford Fusion. And, man, I don't know what to say. Second place in the championship isn't what we came here for, but Jimmy's a great guy and he deserves the win.
You may be the runner-up, but it didn't come with a lack of effort. I mean, you guys did everything you possibly could. How would you describe these last few races as you tried to chase down the eventual champion, Jimmie Johnson?
They've been fun. You know, we could go be aggressive. We knew we were at a disadvantage after those 2 races where we lost a bunch of points, but you know, not to be cliche or sappy or whatever, but anybody out there shooting for something or trying for something, you can't lose if you give it 100%. If you give it 100%, you win no matter what. And at least we can lay our heads down tonight and know that we won some races and we gave it our best effort. We got beat by a true champion, Jimmie Johnson.
And Doc, there's no question this team gave it 100% tonight and throughout the course of the chase. His closing comments to his team, Carl said, we will definitely get them next year.
Mike, he got to within 69 points. He gained 72 points here in the finale to finish second, although he picks up a series-leading 9th win. Here comes the champion, Jimmie Johnson. Celebration of a history-making night for Jimmie Johnson and Team Lowe's, the 48 car. 3 consecutive NASCAR Sprint Cup titles. And yeah, the fireworks here at Homestead Miami, a night that this team will never forget. Only one driver in the 60-year history of NASCAR has done what these guys have done. It was 30 years ago when Cale Yarborough pulled it off. There's Jimmie Johnson. He's brought the championship car around. And let's listen in.
history for Jimmie Johnson. The quest is finally done. Jimmy going to go get congratulations from his wife Shani. His team gathered up on stage next to him. I guess the first word is congratulations. It's over.
It is over. What a special year. I'm so proud of this race team and the fight this race team had in it. We got off to a slow start and really worked hard to get back into championship form. So very proud of all of Hendrick Motorsports. Can't thank my teammates enough. Lowe's and all their support, Cobalt Tools. I have to thank the fans. The fans have been amazing for me in the sport. And I have to congratulate Chevrolet on their Manufacturers Championship as well. It's an awful special year in a lot of ways, and I can't believe we're part of history.
I'm sure it's going to take a little while for the history to sink in. Let me back up and ask you about tonight's race. You are starting back in 30th. Sometimes you were in some heavy traffic, lots of 3 and 4 wide racing going on around you on restarts. What was this night like?
This night was good. We had a great race car. That's what made me most comfortable, was the fact that we had a great race car. I knew I could pass people. There's some guys that were racing, I guess, for next year's position and job and points as well. And I kind of questioned some of the hard racing that went on throughout the lap down guys and some of the slower guys. But we had a great car and made the most of it tonight. Once we got some clean air, we were able to run up front on 2 tires and stay with those guys. And for security, came in and got some fuel there at the end. We didn't need to risk it.
At what point in the evening did you start to say, okay, I feel in control?
From the first lap on track, I knew we had a car that was in the ballpark and a car that I could drive to the front with. So I felt very, very good once the race started. There were a couple points where it was dicey at times, but all in all, I really felt like I was in control of where this car was on the track. Our stops were awesome. Our car was great, and it was just a great day.
Second man in history to win 3 consecutive championships, you and this race team together. Early thoughts on what that means to you? I'm sure you've had some time to contemplate it over these last few weeks.
Yeah, it's the ultimate reward. We worked so hard to put ourselves in this position, and it is such a team sport, and I can't thank Knaus enough. I guess he's the first crew chief to win 3 in a row. And it's total teamwork and dedication. And there are times this year where things were dark, but we buckled down and got to work, and that's what it was really all about. And that makes me think I have to commend Carl Edwards and the effort that he and his team put forth. Those guys put a lot of pressure on us this year, and they're going to be a championship threat for years to come. The 18 was spectacular, the start of this year. I think as a race fan, they have a lot to look forward to in the years to come in Sprint Cup racing. It's going to be a lot of fun.
As a race fan, the performance by you and this team in this chase, impressive. Congratulations to you. I want to give you a couple minutes to celebrate with your team, and then we'll get up on stage for the official presentation of the trophy. Congratulations again.
Awesome. Thank you, and thanks to all the fans for everything they've done.
Jimmie Johnson, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion, 2008, his 3rd consecutive title. Chad Knaus celebrating the first crew chief ever to win 3 consecutive titles. So much for this team to think and talk about and celebrate. In fact, one of Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus' team owners is with Dave Burns right now.
Jeff Gordon, I had to look at my sheet again. 37th to 4th. What a great run for you guys tonight.
It really was. We wanted to go out putting out our best effort with this DuPont Chevrolet team. Obviously, we were trying to win. And at one moment, I thought we had a shot at. We were the first car that came in and got fuel, but we weren't great in traffic, and the 29, the 26 got by us. And then 99 made it, so it didn't matter anyway, but still, great top 5. Man, how about Jimmie Johnson, Chad Knaus, that whole Lowe's team? I just want to congratulate Rick Hendrick and all of Hendrick Motorsports. To do 3 in a row and this season to me is the most impressive one that they've done. They were off a little bit at the beginning of the season like we were, and they got it turned around. And so really impressed, proud of those guys, and can't wait to go over there and say congratulations to them in person.
We'll let you do that in a second here. Taught him everything he knows kind of thing. Do you wish you'd held a little back?
No, I didn't teach him everything he knows. I knew he was a great driver if he got the kind of equipment that I had at Hendrick Motorsports. And, if you have the good fortune to pull together a team that can do extraordinary things, I knew that he could, drive that thing to victory lane many, many times, as well as many championships. They did a little quicker than I thought they would do it, and they've been more dominant than I ever thought they would. But it's only because this extraordinary team, and Hendrick Motorsports just has this way of bringing people, that do things beyond what they ever maybe thought they were capable of doing. I know for me that happened. I think the same for Jimmy and Chad and all those guys, and they deserve a lot more credit than they get. And I know they get a lot, but I don't think they get enough. They're an amazing group, and then Hendrick Motorsports just has so many amazing resources. So proud to be there. I hate we didn't win this year, and we're going to be working really hard to get that done next year. But yeah, I'm still looking forward to going over there and celebrating with them and congratulating them.
All right, Rick Hendrick empowering people, and this 4-time champ should know.
What an organization, Hendrick Motorsports. Now 175 wins for Hendrick, and this his 8th championship for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. 4 with Jeff Gordon, now 3 in a row with Jimmy Johnson, and 1 with Terry Labonte. Jimmy Johnson has done it. He and Chad Knaus will now share a page in the NASCAR history books. Back in just a moment.
At the Homestead Miami Speedway, the celebration is about to begin on the stage at the start-finish line with the championship team's car in front of us, and now the entire Lowe's 48 Hendrick Motorsports team gathered on stage for the official presentation of the Sprint Cup Championship Trophy. Allow me to introduce the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of NASCAR, Mr. Brian France. Brian?
Alan, thank you. You know, in every time in sports, there's a point when you talk about dynasty. Tonight is when we're going to start talking about dynasty for Jimmy Johnson and the Lowe's team. And on behalf of NASCAR fans across the world, Jimmy, a little hardware to go with your championship. Congratulations.
And now for the presentation of the Point Fund Awards for the champion. It will be sizable. I introduce the president of Sprint, Mr. John Garcia, with a little check.
Jimmy, on behalf of Sprint and all of its employees and the 50 million fans, what a great moment in time for you. This is a great moment for the sport that we all love. The fans here celebrating with you. It's my privilege to present you with this check for over $7 million. Whoa.
And Jimmy, if you would please, this is yours. It doesn't get old, does it?
No, and now we're gonna have to do it again next year, I guess. This is way too much fun.
Jimmy, there's been so much talk as you built up to this championship about dynasties, winning 3 championships in a row. Earlier today on our telecast, we had people like Bart Starr talking about you win 3 championships in a row, you're a dynasty. How do you feel about this team as a dynasty?
Well, we're very proud of what we do, and I don't think it's our position to say that we are a dynasty. If people feel that we deserve that title, we'll gladly accept it. The cool thing about this race team is we're still young. We have a lot of years left ahead of us, and we feel that we have more to accomplish still. So very proud of what we've done and want to take this offseason to enjoy where we're at. But I know these guys got the fire in them to come back and do it again next year.
So much hard work goes into this championship. I know you'll take the time to celebrate and enjoy it. Jimmy Johnson, your NASCAR Sprint Cup champion. Want to turn for a minute to the man who's now just won his 8th Sprint Cup championship as a team owner, Rick Hendrick. Enjoying a moment with his driver, Rick, number 8. What are you thinking?
I never thought I'd win one, so it's pretty special. I thank Lowe's for having the faith in us, and way back when it was an unknown driver and crew chief, and we're just really proud. I never thought I'd win one of these. To get 8, it's really special. Chevrolet and all of the fans, we just really appreciate everything they do.
How nerve-wracking was this evening for you? You're not the calmest of watchers on the pit box.
I didn't even go down to the 48 box. I stayed on the 24 box. I didn't want to go down there. I thought it was just so nervous waiting for the end of this race, and just really excited for this man right here and all the Lowe's employees that had faith in this team, and Chevrolet that gave us these cars and motors that get the job done. And we're just, it's hard to believe these guys have tied Cale's record, and hopefully we can come back and go for 4.
No one would be surprised. Congratulations on number 8 for Hendrick Motorsports.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Rick Hendrick, team owner of what can certainly be classified as a dynasty in NASCAR racing, the 8th championship for Hendrick Motorsports. We asked those who would know what it takes to be a champion, what being this 3-time consecutive champion would mean to this team.
We'll look at them as, really close and possibly the best.
All records are made to be beaten, and a lot of times they do get beaten.
They may set some records that none of us thought were possible.
We'll look back at this period of time somewhere down the road and say they are one of the greatest.
Back at the Homestead Miami Speedway, we've snuck off to a corner of the stage with a man who's just made history. The first crew chief to ever win 3 consecutive championships in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Chad Knaus. Before they take you off to go raise your team's flag, what are your thoughts on what this team has accomplished together in these last 3 years?
I think it's pretty amazing. And it's not just the last 3 years. If you really look at it, the core group of guys that we've had on the 48 team have been together since 2002. And I think that's what's helped us. We've learned each other's traits, we've learned each other's emotions and how to handle each other, and everybody's raised each other's levels so high that it's a great experience. I enjoy coming to work with these guys. It's like they say, you find an occupation that you enjoy and you'll never work a day in your life, and that's the way that I feel. Every day when I pull into Hendrick Motorsports and I see the facility we've got and know the people that we've got behind us, it makes me happy, really happy.
As you continue to win and continue to succeed in sports, we see the trend that it's harder to stay on top of the mountain. How do you stay on top of the mountain year after year?
It's not easy, but the thing that we've got going for us is that we've got a group of competitors that work at Hendrick Motorsports, people that what they want to do is win races and what they want to do is win championships. So if we do stumble, if we do fall, all everybody does is just dig in deeper and try to figure out what the problem is and try to make it better. And, it makes it a heck of a lot easier when you've got that. And obviously, Jimmy, what can you say about the talent that man has? So I'm fortunate to have him as one of my best friends and, and a brother and a driver. It's pretty awesome.
Congratulations. They're waiting for you to go raise your team's flag. We'll let you get to that. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Chad Knaus, 3-time champion crew chief, one of his team owners, Jeff Gordon, there with greetings, and they're going to bring Chad across the walkway here where he will raise the 48 flag over this racetrack for another 12 months as the defending series champ.
What a phenomenal 3 years. Jimmy Johnson, wife Shani. What an incredible team. Chad Knaus, so smart, so calculating. He said they were all together 7 years ago. It began back in 2002 when the crew members had Velcro name tags on their uniforms. No one knew they were going to be there 1 week, 2 weeks. And now 7 years later, and a whole chapter in the NASCAR history book, this team is celebrating 3 consecutive Sprint Cup titles.
Very satisfying moment for this team.
Yeah, and I think the really neat thing, and for those aspiring drivers out there, Jimmy Johnson didn't come into to NASCAR racing in particular and into the Nationwide Series and really set the world on fire. But there were a lot of people out there, and in particular Jeff Gordon, that saw a lot of talent if they get him in the right situation. And he was very quick to point out to Mr. Hendrick, this is someone that we need to get there, bringing him and Chad Knaus together. Look what's happened to him.
Look at this comparison to one of the all-time greats, Cale Yarborough, 30 years ago. Yarborough did it 76, 77, 78, 28 victories. Jimmy Johnson, 22 wins. 2 men, 2 great NASCAR drivers sharing now the same page in history.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Sprint. The chase for the Sprint Cup comes to you with NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. Only from Sprint and only on the Now Network. The all-new 09 F-150. It's not just a new truck, it's a new F-150. And Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side.
The celebration continues here at Homestead Miami Speedway. The curtain call for the 2008 NASCAR Sprint Cup season And Jimmie Johnson and his Team Lowe's team, Chad Knaus, they have done it. 3 consecutive titles, 8 titles altogether for Hendrick Motorsports. The beginning of a dynasty may be here for the 48 team, but the end of an era for another driver who's had a great career with Joe Gibbs Racing, Tony Stewart. Mike.
And catching up with Tony Stewart right now came awfully close to walking away with a home run, so to speak. How would you describe the night?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, to be leading there with 20 laps to go and driving away from the field, I mean, you can't ask for more than that. So just appreciate everything Zippy and these guys have done. And, it's hard. We all wanted to win this last race, but, so did 42 other guys today that wanted to win the last one of the year. But I'm really proud of these guys. The biggest thing to me is that we went out on a night that we were competitive at night, and everybody knew we were here. They knew we were one of the fastest cars all day. We did what we needed to do.
And now you turn the page. Has it sunk in?
Not yet. I mean, I want to congratulate Jimmie Johnson and, just spend time with these guys right now. And tomorrow's tomorrow. We'll worry about that tomorrow.
You certainly know how difficult it is to win a championship. Can you put it in perspective, what it's like to see a guy win 3 in a row?
Pretty impressive. I mean, it's they've done something that it's not likely anybody will do this again for another 20 or 30 years.
Thank you, Tony.
The Joe Gibbs era is over for Tony Stewart. Now the start of a whole new future. Stewart-Haas Racing, Chevrolet, his teammate Ryan Newman, looking ahead to 2009. And here is a Chevrolet that's been almost unbeatable the last 3 years. You saw the point fund checker, heard about it a moment ago. Do the calculations. In the last 3 years, Jimmie Johnson has pocketed over $45 million in earnings to win those 3 consecutive titles. Let's go down to Alan.
Well, Doc, most people who get involved in automobile racing get started because their dad had a passion for motorsports. Such was the case for Jimmie Johnson here with his dad, Gary. Now, you just look so happy. Tell me what's going through your mind at watching what your son has achieved tonight.
Oh, man. To tie Cale's record and to be in the record books and just to be here. I mean, we used to sit on the couch in El Cajon and watch this, and for him to make it and his roller coaster ride to get here, we're still pinching ourselves. This is a dream come true.
When you watch how hard Jimmie works at his craft, what goes through your mind?
Man, he's so dedicated to it, and the testing and all the other stuff they put out and going to the gym and working out and the appearances and stuff. I'll call him, and I had to learn how to text message because he won't call me. He don't have time to call me. He can only text me, so I had to learn how to text message. So
that's fun. Now, I assume at some point when all the public celebrations are through, you'll get a chance to celebrate privately as a family.
Yeah, maybe we can get together Thanksgiving or something, One
of the few weekends off in a year?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Hey, now how about that Carl Edwards? That guy a class act or what? I mean, that man's going to win him a bunch of championships also.
Absolutely, Gary. Thanks.
Cool.
Proud dad down here in the middle of the celebration.
As well he should be. And they take a look now at the final point standings for 2008. The margin was 69 points. Carl Edwards behind Jimmie Johnson. 8 positions changed here in this final race. And you see there's Edwards, Biffle in 3rd. The big gainer, Tony Stewart, all the way up to 9th position. Also, Kevin Harvick and Clint Bowyer both moving up a spot to 4th and 5th. How about our 3rd place finisher, Greg Biffle, with Dave?
Greg Biffle finishing 18th tonight, but obviously finishing 3rd in the chase is not what you wanted. It started out so strong, Greg. Can you sum up your chase this year?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what, these guys did a great job. Robbie Reiser, all the guys at the shop, the engine shop, we just didn't have any failures. Our car was just sound every week we showed up. And the guys just did a great job on pit road. Great pit stops. Great call tonight. Even though we finished 18th, we had to come for fuel. We just need to work on it this winter and be a little bit better next year, be like our teammates on fuel mileage. But to come home 3rd with the 3 and Ford Fusion and Dish Network and everybody that's been on board this year, Red Cross, it's just really exciting for us.
You were chasing your teammate and also Jimmie Johnson. I need to ask you about our champion now. For the 3rd time, what's it like trying to beat him, and what do you think of his accomplishment 3 in a row?
Well, I don't know where he finished tonight, but, we were in front of him there for a little bit, so we were able to run with him tonight. And the guys they just been really good, the right place, the right time, a lot of luck, just all those things that add up to being consistent every week. And that's what those guys have done. They've figured it out. And once you figure it out, as long as you keep polishing on it, you'll keep doing well. So congratulations to those guys.
And I think Greg Biffle and the 16 team are closer to figuring it out now, guys.
Indeed, it is the time to congratulate Jimmie Johnson on what they've accomplished. You guys each have won. You've won 2 titles. You won 1 as a driver. Your thoughts on what Jimmie Johnson and his team has done? 3 consecutive championships.
In spite of how easy Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus make it look, this stuff's hard. And what they've done 3 years in a row is really incredible.
Yeah, and I know there's been tried to make a lot of comparisons about different times, and was this equal to what Cale Yarborough did? It doesn't make any difference, when you compare that. What they've done is just amazing. They've kept a team together. They've been there each and every year and done their job. Jimmie Johnson has never finished out of the top 5 in the points since he came into this sport. So it's just amazing. Truly incredible job by Jimmie Johnson. Chad Knaus, I know you're a crew chief. They deserve a lot of credit for everything that they go through, but I'm going to give that driver a lot of credit in being able to handle all the pressures that it takes, not only week in and week out, but here 3 consecutive years. Just simply amazing to watch.
And 5 times they finished in the top 2 in the points, so what a phenomenal year of consistency for Jimmie Johnson. Why don't we visit with Kevin Harvick? Here's Jamie Little.
Kevin Harvick ties his best finish of the year. 2nd, ends up 4th in points. Kevin, how close were you guys there at the end?
We were about a lap short after we came in and pitted and topped off, but Shell Pennzoil guys made a great call on pit road to come in and top the thing off, and we were here to try to win the race and get 4th in the points. We got half of that accomplished. I didn't think we were even racing the 99. I was just going as fast as I had to keep the 26 back there, but 99 made it.
Kevin, you've been racing Jimmie Johnson as long as he's been in the series. Put in perspective, from your point of view, what he's accomplished tonight.
Well, Jimmy, he and I kind of grew up at the Hornaday household there as we moved our career to the East Coast, and caused a little bit of trouble and had a lot of fun and came up through some of the similar ranks. But to see what he's accomplished, he's a great person, great organization that he's with, and just really proud of him to see everything that he's accomplished.
Thanks, Kevin.
Kevin Harvick tying his best finish of the year, 2nd here in the season finale at Homestead Miami Speedway. While Alan Bestwick makes his way back to the pit studio and the celebration is ongoing down trackside, why don't we check in with those guys, Rusty, Brad, and Ray, and guys' perspective on what we have seen here in this final race and what this 48 team has accomplished.
Doc, I'll tell you what, down here in the studio, we've been talking about it. I mean, I've never seen so much dominance, guys, like I've seen all year long. You take a look at Jimmie Johnson, 7 wins, Kyle Busch, 8 wins, and Carl Edwards, 9. Any 2 of those other guys could have won this championship. That's how tight everything was this year. And Brad, I got to tell you, it's been a heck of a year.
Yeah,
I can't wait to next year.
It's been incredible to watch what Jimmie Johnson has done. And when you talk about dynasty and you talk about great sports teams, obviously now they are part of that scenario. But my question is to you 2 guys. You both have competed in this sport at the highest level. What's your observations of what they've accomplished, right?
That's unbelievable. We saw 3 great things tonight. We saw Carl Edwards do what he had to do, lead the most laps, win the race. We saw Jimmie Johnson do what he had to do, stay in position and win the championship. And we saw that my fuel mileage strategy is just doesn't work. Can't do it anymore. But what you saw tonight was just amazing. Those guys went punch for punch. They won the last 3 races of the year, and they really are the class of the field.
Yeah.
Well, Doc, we saw a lot of domination. We saw a lot of leading. We saw a lot of dynasty stuff going on. To me, it was a heck of a year.
A history-making night for Jimmie Johnson, Chad Knaus, and the whole team. How about our 5th place finisher who also moved up in the final point standings, Clint Bowyer, standing by with Dave.
Clint Bowyer pulls home a 5th place finish tonight. Clint, talk about your night and finishing 5th in the chase.
Yeah, it's great. You hate to knock your teammate out, but RCR having all 3 cars in the chase again, that meant a lot to us. Proud of everybody at RCR. Kind of emotional night, having to leave the Jack Daniels car with Gil and all those guys. It's good that we left on a good note, and just proud of those guys. Can't wait for next year. Hopefully we can build on what we had and put all 4 of them in a chase.
You are this year's nationwide champion. Got to ask you about our champion Jimmie Johnson here, winning 3 in a row. What's it been like to compete against him?
It's just incredible. I mean, they've raised the bar to just an unreachable level right now, and everybody's playing catch up. Everybody's trying to learn from them, and they're setting the pace. I mean, there's no way around it. You listen to them on the radio, you listen to every move they make. They're polished, and that's why they're 3-time champions.
And this guy will go after them with a brand new team next year.
And we're looking so much forward to 2009. Thank you, the fans, for watching this year and being a part of our family. And, guys, thank you so much for a great year. I've enjoyed calling races with you.
It's been a great year, Doc. Thank you for all you've done to help me and progress in this sport. And, Dale, it's been a great year working with you, too.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to come up here and work with you guys. A lot of fun. Looking at this sport totally different now, but it's been great watching all of this.
Now the big question is, can Jimmie Johnson do it 4 years in a row? What a phenomenal year. What a phenomenal 3 years. And the dynasty is continuing. Alan?
And, Doc, it's interesting that before they even considered starting the celebration in earnest, they were talking about 4 in a row down there on the stage. These guys are still hungry. And, boy, if they could win a 4th consecutive championship, that has never been done by anyone. And it doesn't sound all that far-fetched to talk about either. So a season that started at Daytona some 10 months ago with Ryan Newman winning the Daytona 500 for Roger Penske concludes tonight with Jimmie Johnson celebrating with the Hendrick Motorsports team after scoring a 3rd consecutive championship. We heard from Cale Yarborough earlier today. He said he saw a lot of himself in Jimmie, and that's certainly his high praise for one of the all-time greats of NASCAR to talk that way about the current series champion. So it's over. The 2008 season goes into the books with Jimmie Johnson and the Lowe's team once again holding NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship trophy. And now, just a couple of months, brief time before it starts all over again at Daytona in February. We'll see you for 2009 then. Thanks for watching.
The Daytona 500, indeed, the great American race.
Ryan Newman, Roger Penske win the Daytona 500.
Wild Thing wins. Took just 40 races for Toyota to claim its first win in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series.
Here he comes. There he goes.
And that was all Kyle Busch right there.
The remarkable year of Kyle Busch continues tonight. Kyle Busch will come down and take the checkered flag, his 8th win in 2008.
For the 15th time, the NASCAR community has gathered here at the famed Yard of Bricks.
Feels like I got basketballs for right side tires. Got a real bad vibration.
Looking at the right rear tires, they are coming off these cars ugly.
Looks like garage area there by Goodyear's business is picking up.
There's a storm brewing, boys. I hear thunder.
Tony Stewart, finally, turn number 2.
Wow, we have got some twisted up iron here today.
Oh, look at Harvick.
Harvick just took out 3 guys.
They are wrecking in every corner. Big wreck behind you. Oh, Lord. There's a huge wreck.
It may be the day that Dale Jr. wins this race.
In his 15th start for Hendrick Motorsports, he's finally going to score that elusive win.
Way to go, Tony Jr. No, boy, that's the way to do it. We take them any way we can get them.
Carl Edwards gets the victory.
Carl Edwards wins.
The hottest team going into the chase to 99 and Carl Edwards.
Jimmie Johnson, the winner.
Johnson to the checkered flag.
Talk about momentum and how more than it is heading into the chase. Jimmie Johnson dominates.
Carl Edwards will comfortably win at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Carl Edwards gets it done and wins at Texas.
Carl Edwards, his effort has been a championship effort.
Pretty much a flawless day for Jimmie Johnson.
Coming to the checkered. Awesome job, dude.
Jimmie Johnson wins for the 7th time.
This is still Jimmie Johnson's championship to lose.
I'm just too strong, waited way too long. So quitting ain't the plan. I got your world in my hands. I ain't playing with you, man. It's the hard knocks, it's the long shots, it's believing in yourself when you're all you got. You don't turn back, you don't give in. Rising up to see the last man stand.